What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Random Encounter Podcast, episode 138. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by the Dress for Your Master, the dominant himself, Bryant,
Live from the Endless Tower.
and we got the fanboy himself, Mr. Phaneckswhy.
What's up? What's up?
What's your jersey? I was trying to stare at it like, what is that?
So this
USMT?
is a kit from a company called Olive in York. So
Mhm.
they make a bunch of just like random kits, and this is a special series run they did last year,
Oh.
where it's the Declaration of Independence. So it's black and gold, and then
Mhm.
you can't really see it, but if you look really close, there's printed words on it, and
Oh,
it's
yeah, I
all
do
the
see it. Yeah.
it's the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I
I
saw
got-
the Discord yesterday. I didn't realize you guys were such soccer fans.
I mean, Fan is probably bigger than me. He watches it a lot more
Okay.
than I do. I've recently got
Yeah.
into soccer, like I think like was it 2014 World Cup, right? Was that the
Mhm.
I think it was World Cup 2014. So when Germany won, they beat Argentina. That's when I got into soccer because I remember being at work and then people were like put on the soccer game, put on the soccer game. I was like, okay. And then what was it? I think that theme song was made by Pitbull, uh who was it? J-Lo, I think, and somebody else maybe. And they would always play the theme song because Sony was sponsoring it. So like by where I was at, there was a Sony ad that continuously played the song over and over again. But anyways, yeah, that's what got me into soccer, and then from there I started watching soccer a lot more often. And then yeah, I usually watch like the major tournaments because I feel like that's where like where all the effort is, right? It's kind of like how people complain that, most sports now, like basketball and football, like they're not as good as they say college sports because people are trying. And the major tournaments is where people are trying. In my opinion, when it comes to soccer, that's where all the action happens. And it's also neat to see because these are people that play together for a little bit, and then they're with their normal teams throughout the rest of the year, and then they come back together to play. So it's kind of weird. It's like if like I don't know, like you go back and play with like your high school friends after 20 years of not seeing them, and you're like, all right, it's time to play basketball or whatever the case might be. It's kind of like that. So yeah, and the rules are complex and all that. So very interesting. A lot of
Rules are
respect
not
to.
complex.
Well,
People make it complex.
yeah, I guess it's not.
It's very subjective is the problem.
Yeah, I guess
There's
you're right.
nuances to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more. What I really like is people say it's like a slow sport, but as somebody who played baseball, it's definitely not a slow sport. Like baseball is definitely a lot slower, and there's a lot more going on. I've heard the argument, oh, they barely score points. Well, yeah, because like you're going down a freaking field that's bigger than a football field, and it's 11-on-11, and if you have a good goalie, that's gonna happen. And of course each point is 1 point. It's not like football where a touchdown 6 points, a field goal is 1 point, right? Or extra points 1 point, a field goal is 3 points, and so forth. Or basketball where there's 2-pointers, 3-pointers, and so forth. Here is just 1 point. That is it.
I just
Yeah.
don't like the flopping of soccer. That annoys me sometimes.
I
There's
agree.
flopping in every sport.
Well, basketball started a
soccer,
lot
I feel like
now.
it's especially
Ba-
pronounced.
basketball has the worst flopping.
Yeah, basketball's
compared to
worse
soccer.
now. Soccer's
What
gotten
do you mean?
A
better.
lot worse.
What do you mean?
Flop,
For basketball?
Flopping. Like
flopping.
diving and flopping.
LeBron James.
Oh,
Just look at
yeah,
LeBron
yeah.
James
Well,
highlights. Like
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played basketball back then. Yeah, so I understand that. It makes sense. Yeah.
Football or soccer has gotten a lot better with that, in my opinion. Unless you're a Neymar fan, because Neymar over exaggerates.
Notorious.
But it's
for it,
also the flopping in soccer though is also strategic. Sometimes they do it on purpose because you don't get a break in soccer. There's no timeouts. You'll get a water break when it's like super hot. So like when the US was playing Guatemala, they had 2 water breaks halfway through each half because it's super hot. So you got to hydrate them. But yeah, there's no timeout, there's no breaks, anything like that. You can't really do any of that stuff. So what you have to do is to get some air, somebody will flop, you waste time, but it gives your team time to recover. So yeah.
And it's not like really
Anyway.
wasting time because they add on that time into extra time anyway.
They do, yeah. They add that time at
Right.
the end.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if they see that you're you're messing around, you're still gonna have to play that time regardless. So. Anyways, yes, this is not a sports podcast. This is a gaming podcast. There is quite a bit to talk about, and welcome, Mr. Great Ace Attorney, Asher Shoyam. Thank
Hey,
you
what's up, guys?
for joining. Quite a bit to talk about. A lot of sad news today, and I think today the discussion we've talked a lot about Xbox. Xbox has done a lot of layoffs, but I think there's more to it here, and it's something that I definitely want to go deep into discussing today. But before we get into that, there is a little bit of small news I do want to get into. One of them that just popped up recently, I don't think it's true, but supposedly a Nintendo Direct would be scheduled for the 10th, which is on, what is the 10th on? A Thursday. So next Thursday, actually. There's been a rumor that there will be a Nintendo Direct on that Thursday. It's going to show off some games coming to the future.
Final Fantasy 9 remake.
Yeah, that would be amazing
I don't
because Square Enix. So that was actually another part of our small news. Not really small news, but a theory I have, which I'll get into it right after this. But there's a rumor with supposedly leaks on what they're going to show. One of them was Metroid Prime 4. They'll have a more deep dive on Metroid Prime 4 and then schedule they'll announce it will be a separate Nintendo Direct for Metroid Prime 4 to kind of do that deep dive, kind of like what they did with Mario Kart World and a couple other games previously. The other thing was that people had spotted, and in this leak, it was Digimon Time Strangers, right, which is a game that was announced. But what's funny is, right around the same time this leak appeared, somebody has said that there is a placement, I forgot where exactly, but that shows the Nintendo Switch 2, that there is a Nintendo Switch 2 version. It's just hidden and you can't look for it. But if you go to their website, it's somewhere on there where you can actually see that it's actually there, which kind of gives that rumor that we were talking about earlier. I think, and Fan was the one to point out that Nintendo wants to control the marketing of it. So there's probably a lot of games that are announced are coming out very soon. They are coming to Switch 2, but Nintendo wants to be the one to announce that these games are coming to Switch 2, which has me hopeful for Resident Evil 9 because that would be cool to have it on the Switch 2. But yeah, I'm not sure if this
game key card form.
In game key card form, unfortunately. Which is gonna go to our Xbox.
The game's gonna be like 100 gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's 100 gigs, then yeah.
What choice do they have? Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But that actually what your comment was, that will tie into our Xbox talk because it's more of a game industry talk in general. Because I think it's not just Xbox we should be worried about. But yeah, I don't think this Direct is real. I do think there's a Direct coming, but I don't think this leak is real. It was from 4chan, which take it with a grain of salt, right? It's random stuff. Though, to be fair, I believe Switch 2 leaks started on 4chan, and there was the family boards as well. So we did get a lot of those accurate leaks from there. So you gotta give a little bit credit where credit's due. So.
4chan for me is 50-50 because they love to troll on there all the time. So
yeah. I also wanted to kind of remind everybody that there are some big game sales going on right now. You have the Steam Summer Sale going on. Nintendo has their Summer Sale going on. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Bryant, PlayStation has their sale going on too as well.
They have a sale going on too, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's called the mid-year sale or something
like
that.
Okay, I thought I saw that. So there is quite a bit going on in terms of good sales, and there's some good prices too, so I highly recommend it. If you're a PC gamer, look on Green Man Gaming. We do have a link. It's in the description below. Definitely use one of those links to buy a game. A lot of the games are actually cheaper than what they are on Steam. There are some games that are not, like Yakuza Like a Dragon is not cheaper on Green Man Gaming for whatever reason, but you can go to Fanatical and get it cheaper than what it is in Steam. So just want to remind everybody to waste money and, or rather spend money on these games, because there's a lot of great sales on there for games that you might have missed out and might never get to because you got a backlog. And I believe that was it. There was one other thing, I believe. I just can't remember, but we'll go ahead and talk. If I remember it later on, we'll keep it for the end. Let's go ahead and dive into the major topic today. And what started off this topic is because Microsoft announced layoffs. We talked about it a little bit last podcast, saying that it was rumored that this week there would be an announcement of layoffs. And the amount of layoffs is pretty up there. Microsoft quotes 4%. That doesn't sound like a lot. So, because they like to think of percentages. Companies love percentages. percentages is everything to them. Doesn't matter what the percentage is, right? It can be 100% growth, right? That's amazing. Yeah, but if you sold 1 and went to 2, like, wow, you just sold 1 extra. That's not that amazing. In this case, 9,100 people were laid off from all of Microsoft, with a lot of it being from Xbox Studios or the Xbox gaming division, which is kind of sad. A lot of the hardware division is gone. So the people who were R&Ding new technology for a new Xbox, it's pretty much gone. There are still some people left, but the majority of it is gone, which kind of sucks. Bunch of studios have closed down. We have what's the name of the studio? Perfect Dark Studio, the Initiative, who was making Perfect Dark. They shut down. Therefore, the Perfect Dark is gone. Like, we're not getting a Perfect Dark game anymore. Everwild, which was the project that Rare was working on, is actually been canceled. That is no longer a thing. So you can say goodbye to that. And with that, actually, we've had some high-end Rare executives that decide to, well, I wouldn't say executive. What would you say? What would you call them? Like management, I guess. Um, I don't know what you call. I was some management. So high-end Rare, like they've been there for quite some time. Senior management there, they decided to leave. They were around when Banjo-Kazooie was there. They finally decided to leave. It was voluntarily. They didn't have to, but they volunteered to leave. To me, that just puts signs at where Microsoft is as a company, or Xbox as a division, which is kind of sad when you see things like this, because I feel like a few weeks ago, we were speaking positive about Xbox. We're like, wow, like, okay, we can kind of get the vision. We see where you're going at. If you continue with these, your first party games, right? And, put them to multi-platform, whatever. They have potential to kind of be big in a certain way with, in a different way, I would say. But then it comes to this, and now it's like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with you, Xbox, because you're treating your employees like crap. You're doing stupid decisions. And yeah, like if you're somebody who defends Xbox, this is not fanboy talk, right? I'm not talking fanboy talk. Don't hate me, or you can hate me, whatever. I don't care. But like, it's one of those things that you got to understand that this is stupid decisions. There's no way you could defend this. You can easily have let these people cook whatever game they're cooking and gave them the time they need and the resources they need if you wanted to. You just choose not to because you're looking for that quick dollar. Game Pass is another thing that I'm actually, from the very beginning, I said I don't think Game Pass is good for the industry. I never thought it was good for the industry. Yeah, it's cool for the consumer, right? You get a lot of games. But in the overall industry, sometimes, and I'm going to sound like a capitalist here, sometimes what's good for the consumer is not best for the industry or the company. And I do really feel that Game Pass ruined Microsoft as a whole. It's kind of destroyed what they were working towards. I'll stop right here, continue some future thoughts later. I'm going to pass it off to you, Bryant, because I know you told me in Discord that you had a lot of things to say. So go ahead and shine.
Yeah, certainly do. This is just such a big topic to pick at here when it comes to the future. It's like almost I have too much to say. I'm trying to like limit it out. So I guess first let's start with Game Pass, just because that's kind of where you ended with it. It's getting to the point where I'm even trying to like articulate what it is I'm trying to say.
You're good.
So funny. I had so much stuff to say over like the past couple days, and then I get to it. I'm like, oh, my mind's blank all of a sudden. Okay,
it happens.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the technology aspect of it first. Yeah. So when it comes to Xbox and the path that they chose with Game Pass, they kind of went down this path where, they wanted to buy all these studios because I think in their minds they thought that they could just like buy all these studios and somehow magically all of these amazing games would be made and Game Pass would be the thing that would bring everybody to play with Microsoft. And to an extent, like, yeah, they got Game Pass subscriptions, but they're cheapening the value of the games. Like they raise the value of the service and they cheapen the value of the games, because it's like, why would I buy $60 for a game when I can just have Game Pass for a month, beat it, and then cancel my subscription and be done with it? And there's so many games on Xbox that I mean, and then that bleeds into the whole thing about Microsoft bringing all these titles to other platforms too. But like, let's just stick with Game Pass for now. I mean, if you're Microsoft and you have these games exclusively on your platform, and nobody can play them anywhere. Like if they would have kept or if they would have just made like Call of Duty multi-platform and like, it's hard to say because I guess you got to make money somehow by bringing these things to other places. But they should have had specific games that were specific for Xbox, just like PlayStation does. I mean, granted, PlayStation is bringing stuff out to PC, but it's never day and date. Usually, like I'm trying to think of examples where things have gone to PC day and date that have been on PlayStation and PC day and date. Yeah, Helldivers. Yeah. Like that. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think.
That's the only
I'm
game.
That's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah.
I mean, technically, Lego Horizon.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Because that's on Switch too, technically, right?
Yeah. I guess, that's a multi-plat game. But yeah, it's just, it's kind of like what you were saying, James, about the whole capitalist thing where it's like, it's really pro-consumer, but it's kind of anti-business in that you're just cheapening what games are worth. And I mean, I guess I kind of want to spin this off into technology and how games are being made now. And we've definitely touched on this subject in the past where you have these games and I've always been a little Pollyannish about it where I'm like, there's room in the industry for really expensive games, like for $100 million games. There's room in the industry for that. But the problem is that these games take so long to make and cost so much money that you have these studio closures because, I mean, Perfect Dark, apparently that trailer that Perfect Dark had was not real. Apparently, according to a source, it was like very cakey. It was very like kind of put together and not real, apparently.
So actually somebody from the initiative did respond. This was maybe about an hour before the podcast started. And somebody did say it was real. That you had to play it a specific way for it to work correctly. But they said all of that was actually in-game footage.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So we'll say that's real, but it's like that game looked fantastic. But the problem is that game, I mean, I'm trying to think when they announced that. Was that like 3, 4, 5 years ago when they announced Perfect Dark?
I want to say like 2021. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure.
No, I thought they announced it like 3 or 5 years ago, and then they showed that gameplay like a year or two ago. But it was that short ago they announced.
Well, there was an announcement, and then that gameplay was the one that was like a year or two. I want to say like 4 years ago.
Okay, something like that. So that means that it's been in pre-development for probably at least 5 or 6 years, probably to get to that point. And it looked amazing and everything, but it's just I mean, think about this. Think about all these people that have been working on this game for 5 or 6 years or whatever the case may be, all the resources, all the time, all the energy they put into making this game just to have the rug pulled from under them and the game get canceled. And then you have those other what was that other game that got canceled too, that rare game,
Everwild.
What's it called? Everwild.
Yeah.
These people spend it's such a high investment, and I kind of understand where Microsoft's coming from in pulling the plug on these because they're not going to recoup the money back that they're spending because it's so much, and they have Game Pass that sucks all the money out of it. Because again, why would you buy the game when you can play it on Game Pass free? Me, I like buying games, but like the majority of people would rather just have Game Pass and just play it and just be done with it. But I'm a collector, so I like to buy it. So and just to kind of finish off, I just think about Nintendo, where I think you and I have kind of agreed, and I think Fan and Ash, we've all kind of consolidated around this idea that Nintendo kind of has it right, in that they're building these games that they're not like these mega 4K ultra skin texture, hair texture, ultra real games that take years and years and hundreds of $1 million. Like, no, they're gonna release Donkey Kong Bonanza in a couple weeks. Games Metacritic, I wouldn't doubt, is any less than 8.59, I would say, based on what we've seen, maybe even higher. And I don't, obviously I have no idea how much it costs, but I guarantee you it's cheaper than what Perfect Dark remake was going to be. It's cheaper than what that Rare game that got canceled, and it's going to sell like crazy because they just released that new console, and you can't get it on Nintendo Game Pass because it doesn't exist. They believe in their hardware. They want people to buy their software, and damn it, you're going to pay full price for it too. You're not going to get a Activision Far Cry or Ubisoft discount in 2 months when it goes on sale for half off. Like, no, they're saying, no, this is $70. I think it's $70. This is $70. You're gonna pay it, and this is what this is worth. And I respect that. And it costs a heck of a lot less to make that game than it does these AAA games that Microsoft is trying to pump out. And the last, like, this is the real last thing I'll say on this, is that Microsoft bought all these companies with the belief that they could make a compelling product in Game Pass. Like they threw money at the problem. Like, we have all this money, we're just gonna dump it into all these companies and have no idea how to maneuver. We're just gonna say, you know what, we have all the money, let's just throw it in, and the talent is gonna make it worth it with Game Pass. And it didn't work out. And I just think about like Xbox 360, right? Like, that was their last real successful system, was Xbox 360, because Xbox One, because of Don Matrick, our eternal champion, who brought about the Kinect. If you don't like it, there's a solution for you. Get it. It's called Xbox 360 with that internet connectivity thing. Xbox Series X. That the last real success was Xbox 360. And what did Xbox 360 bring? It had exclusives. It had games that you could only get there. It didn't have Game Pass. It just believed in itself. It believed in the games that it was making. It was a very compelling product. It was the place to play Call of Duty. But then PlayStation came with PlayStation 4 and really ate its lunch and said, no, we're going to bring the exclusives. We're going to bring God of War Remake. We're going to bring Spider-Man. We're going to bring all these games, and we're going to believe in it. There's no Game Pass here. You're going to have your PlayStation Plus, and you get your 1 or 2 year old game. You get that game for free, I suppose, but that's it. And so I just really worry about the singularity of the industry, where it's just an arms race to see who can make the most realistic, the most expensive, the most 4K graphics. And then you have like a Hellblade Senua's, what's that?
Sacrifice.
The Sacrifice. The second one.
Yeah.
The second one, because that game is like 2 or 3 hours long, I heard, and it cost so much money to make, and it took so long to make. And that, I think, is pretty much epitomizes the industry and like where Microsoft wants to go. It's like, we're gonna buy this studio, they're gonna make this game, and it's gonna be this big deal, and it's gonna disappear like a fart in the wind. Nobody's talking about that game anymore. It's coming to PlayStation because Microsoft needs to make some of that money back that I'm sure they invested in it, and they want to bring a novelty to PlayStation to get some people to buy it. Because I mean, why else wouldn't you do it? So yeah, it's just a really dark day. I really feel sorry for those people that got laid off, like 9,000 people that just love games, that love what they're doing. They're creating things, they're trying to make art, and Microsoft is just a company that it's a bad situation in general for the whole industry and where it's going, for sure. And I hope that they kind of find some way to go the Nintendo route. Nintendo can kind of steer some people the right way, because right now it's not the way I would choose to go, for sure.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Perfect Dark was announced in 2020. The Initiative Studio was founded in 2018 in Santa Monica. It was kind of made to like poach like Sony Santa Monica team
It was
members.
their Naughty Dog, kind of.
Well, it was more, I guess more like their Naughty Dog. Yeah, that's about right.
It wanted to be like their big studio, like their quadruple A studio is going to be the Initiative.
Yeah, because when they first announced it, that was kind of like how they pictured it there, but it didn't go anywhere. And then, of course, Everwild, which Everwild was announced in 2019. So
see, that's
that was
not
canceled
6 years ago.
Yeah. And then there was an interview in February where Phil Spencer said that he saw Everwild and he likes where it is and he can't wait for it to come out. And then this happens, which is kind of odd, which kind of shows that he's just lying. Either that or that was not his decision.
Or was made, yes, the decision was made 2 days ago. That's the only possibility.
Yeah, exactly. There's that too. But there's a lot of things that's just weird. Like in 2024, revenue for Microsoft was $245 billion, a 16% increase over 2023 in revenue. And it's the fourth time in let me see. Xbox, let me see.
Everwild doesn't even look that like crazy.
Nah, I mean, honestly, I wasn't even
in terms
into
of
it.
like fidelity and like graphic. It's basically like slightly better than Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I bet its provenance was like that. What was that game called? The one that was like New Orleans, Louisiana. On Xbox. What was it called?
Shoot, the one that
Midnight something.
What was that?
Close. Yeah, Midnight
It's
something.
like Midnight something. It's like
South of Midnight, right? South
of Midnight. Yeah. It looks like the same like provenance, like South of Midnight, like kind of like a AA game that's like really solid, but it's not like the Rare of old where it was Banjo-Kazooie and that was like a system seller or something.
Yeah. Activision Blizzard King, which King from doing like Candy Crush and all that. is cutting 10% of their staff, which is about 200 jobs. ZeniMax also cut a lot. They had an MMO coming out. They canceled that. Turn 10 Studios, which everybody knows from Forza Motorsports, they laid off, let's see.
And they make critically acclaimed games too that sell well too.
Yep. Raven's Software, which was a Call of Duty studio. Yep. They got laid. A lot of people from there got laid off.
They're based in Madison, Wisconsin too, so I definitely know of them.
Yeah, it's weird, and it goes back to what we were saying. Microsoft, I don't think Microsoft knows what gaming is about, honestly. They failed multiple times in gaming. Like, they somehow won with Xbox and Xbox 360. Not somehow, but they won because of exclusives, right? Xbox, you can name hit exclusives. You had Knights of the Old Republic. That was the only place to play that. You had Halo. That was the only place to play that. A lot of games were
Halo 2.
exclusive only
Gears
on
of
there.
War.
Yeah, Halo 2. Well, Gears of War wasn't on the original Xbox. But right, Knights of the Republic, Knights of the Republic 2, Elder Scrolls Morrowind, you could only play that on Xbox. There was some Star Wars games that were only available on Xbox. So they had exclusives on the original Xbox, and they built upon that. They saw what people liked, and then 360 came around. And then, of course, you continued with Halo. You added Gears of War. You added Fable. You had Mass Effect in the beginning before it became multi-platform. You had Lost Odyssey, you had Infinite Undiscovery, Eternal Sonata. A lot of games were first 360 exclusives. Blue Dragon, Tales of Vesperia was exclusive in the US at least for a long time. So there was a lot of exclusives that Microsoft had. I remember when I went to buy a 360, I really wanted a PS3, but I was like, you know what, PS3 really doesn't have any games. I'm not gonna buy that. I'll buy the 360 and I'll play the PS3 later on. And I'm happy I did buy the 360 in the beginning because there was a lot of games I got to play. Towards the end, of course, PlayStation picked up and started releasing Infamous, Uncharted, Last of Us, and they started getting more deals with like third-party exclusives as well in that generation. But like the 360 was a hit, and Microsoft, I think in the Xbox One era, towards the end, they realized, okay, we need exclusives. But I don't think they realized that you need good exclusives, not just exclusives. You need good exclusives. And it just seemed like they were just throwing out games, and then you heard Phil Spencer crying like, oh, we can't win. Like, no, you don't go ahead and release a game or release a bad game, and then when people complain that the game sucks, you're like, oh, I just can't win. I try to give you something, and you don't win. No, it doesn't go that way. PlayStation has made a statement in the quality of their games. When you play a PlayStation Studios games, you're expecting nothing less of greatness, right? Even if you're not into the game, you can appreciate what it has because you can see there's a lot of people who are not into Death Stranding, and they appreciate what Death Stranding is because it's amazing. Now that's a Kojima game, yes, but PlayStation Studios, has some work in it. But a better example, I guess, is Horizon Zero Dawn. A lot of people appreciate what they see there because they know that Guerrilla Games worked very hard on it. God of War is kind of the same thing. Last of Us, Uncharted, the Spider-Man games, all that stuff. Nintendo's the same way. If it's a Nintendo first-party game, you're getting a fun game. That regardless of how it is, even their worst game, the worst Nintendo game is still very fun because they make an emphasis to go ahead and build this quality game just for you. Microsoft, on the other hand, I don't think they knew what quality was, and they just started releasing whatever. And it's almost like you have too many people in the room throwing darts, trying to see what sticks, and hoping that it comes out great. Where you got to have like a clear, image, and it's kind of
vision.
Yeah, clear vision, and it's kind of just how Microsoft has been managing the business in general. You don't know what they wanted. It went from exclusives and to Game Pass. Now it's third-party, releases on different platforms, and now we're doing third-party hardware and collaborations. It's like, Microsoft, what are you? I don't think it knows what any or Xbox.
They don't have an identity.
Yeah, they don't.
Xbox doesn't have an identity, flat out.
Yeah, and they bought Activision, and now watch, Activision is gonna get ruined because of them. And I had said it from the get-go. I was against them buying studios, and it wasn't so much because, they were going to have, let's say, Call of Duty for themselves, right? I didn't believe that one bit, but it was more so that I just don't like mergers of companies, right? Buying big studios like that is never fun. I'm against all type of like acquiring companies at all, unless you're like a smaller company. Nintendo did it with like Monolith Soft, and like, all right, Monolith Soft, you've only
But it
done Nintendo
strategically made
stuff.
sense.
Yeah,
It made sense strategically. Microsoft was just like, whatever, we'll buy whatever. And then Nintendo does it, and it's very calculated. It's very
yeah,
like, this makes sense. We're going to do it. Sony, same thing. We're
yeah,
going to buy Insomniac. That makes sense for us from a business standpoint.
yeah,
It's very calculated. Microsoft, we have the money. We might as well buy Activision. It's like a kid with like, $100 going into like a Walgreens and buying 100
yeah,
bags of gummy bears. It's like, oh,
yeah.
we have the money. Might as well.
Yeah, exactly. And they never asked themselves, should they? Like, yeah, they could, but should they have bought
Right.
that? Yeah, going back to what you were saying, like it made sense when they bought Monolith Soft because it's like, okay, Monolith Soft has only dealt with Nintendo for like the past 15 years. The last people they worked with was Bandai Namco in Xenosaga, right? And then before that, they were with Square Enix for Xenogears. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like they were Bandai Namco for a minute because they also did what's that other game that these guys are like angels or something like that. They have it's like a card based battle system, or they have wings. I don't know. They're
Kaidos?
angels. Yes, Bandai Kaitos. Yeah. So they did that as well under Bandai Namco. The other one was Next Level Games, which did Luigi's Mansion and some other Nintendo exclusives, but again, only Nintendo exclusives. So like games like that or studios like that make sense. But yeah, I fear for what is to come in the futures because I do think that Microsoft is a sign of what will happen if Sony actually doesn't figure things out and if Nintendo doesn't continue to, how can I put it? Like they're fine now, but what Nintendo could walk into in the future. And it goes with your statement of how expensive these games are. But how do you divide these quality games in between that? Like Nintendo has done a good job with having, yes, you get a
Every month.
Zelda every 5 years or whatever. And that's their giant game that they invest a lot of money in. But you also have these smaller games that break out throughout the years and they spread out everything. PlayStation is slowly walking into a way where it's like, all right, we're in 2025. This is an actual question. What first party game has Sony released this year?
I mean, their ones are released.
Well, Death Stranding 2, I guess. Counts.
Ghost of Yotei. Isn't Ghost of Yotei coming out this
Ghost
year?
of Yotei this year.
Yeah, Ghost of Yotei.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not coming out now, of course, but it's coming out this year.
Yep.
What else?
That's be their game for the year for sure.
I can't
think of anything
any
off
other
the top
game.
of my head.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that worries me. Is that, okay, you have PlayStation Studios. PlayStation has, I want to say, over like 12 studios. And they only have those two coming out this year. One of them is Kojima Productions, and I technically don't count it, even though like Sony gave them money. I don't really count that because that's not a first party studio.
Because that came out literally the same time as PC. So I mean, I don't really count that either.
No, Death Stranding 2 is not on PC.
It's not on PC?
No.
Oh,
PlayStation only.
Oh, okay. So it's going to come out a year later. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, probably.
A year or so later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if we take out, Death Stranding 2, they only have Ghost of Yotei. That's it. And it's kind of scary when you think about it. Versus a couple of years ago.
Wasn't that the Lost Soul Aside? That Lost Soul game, isn't that also PS5
exclusive to PlayStation?
It is exclusive.
But is it? I don't think that's owned by Sony though.
No, it's a Chinese company.
Sony? It's a third party.
Yeah, so
third party exclusive. I mean, that's good too. But
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to say that, but would you count?
Oh no, I think it's
third party exclusive because, like, I feel like when I count Nintendo, I really don't.
Wait, what'd you say, Fan?
I was just wondering if it's also coming on PC, but I don't know if it's like the whole situation where it's like like Stellar Blade, where it's exclusive on PS5 for less than a year, and then it releases to PC too. So
I can find that out.
The way I see exclusive games is that it's only exclusive for that console for the rest of its life. Yeah. Literally, that's it. So at this point, I don't even count Stellar Blade as a PlayStation exclusive because it's on PC now, right?
It is coming to PC same day. It looks like, by the way.
Okay. It is. So I wouldn't count that.
August 29th.
Yeah, it's probably one of those things where it's just they just decided to go exclusive on PlayStation. Oh, I guess Sony is help publishing the game, so that's why. So Sony's technically publishing it, but that's not really. I don't know. I
Rebirth was
wouldn't
kind
call
of
that exclusive.
exclusive too.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
At the
So,
Like
but
beginning.
but
the
Rebirth,
thing is, it needs to stay on PlayStation. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
Like when I'm thinking
I can play on PC
exclusives,
now. So
when I'm thinking exclusives, I'm not even thinking of the stay on PlayStation. I'm gonna set that aside, right? Because like Horizon
sure.
is on there, right? And
Mhm.
I'm counting that as exclusive. I'm thinking more, I guess, of their first party, right? Like Rebirth,
Okay.
whether Sony paid for it or not, was gonna come, right?
Yeah.
Lost Soul Side is the same thing. That was being worked on before Sony decided to publish it. Stellar Blade was being worked on before Sony decided to publish it. So like those games I wouldn't count. Because when we look back a few years ago, we had, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we had Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok in the same year. No?
I don't know.
Looking it
I
up
have to-
right now.
Yeah,
If
I'm
it
looking
was,
up
that's
too.
a pretty packed year.
Yeah, or it
Let's
might have
see.
been within 12 months of each other. Yeah, so Horizon.
So Ragnarok came out November 2022,
Yep,
and
Forbidden West came out
Horizon Forbidden
2022 as
West.
well.
2022. Yeah.
Yep, earlier in the year came out February 2022. God of War was November 2022.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good year.
And I wouldn't be surprised if something else was somewhere inside there that was PlayStation owned. But like,
Was Tsushima 21?
no, Tsushima was way before that. It was like 2019. It was pre PS5.
No, I don't think so. Wait, Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah,
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it was
a PS4
PS4.
first. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
PS4.
re-released
Okay.
on PS5.
yeah, that I know for a fact because I beat it on PS4. And then,
Tsushima was July 2020.
yeah,
So I wasn't that off. I said 2021.
okay. So I guess technically the same year that PS5 came out. Yeah, so like honestly, they have that. And then 2 years ago we had Astrobot, and I'm trying to think of what other first party game we got. I mean, I guess you could say Last of Us remake, or was that Last of Us. Yeah, Last of
Which
Us
you
1
count in
remake was
the
there.
Marvel Spider-Man game, even though they eventually come to PC.
I count that because that's
Yeah, 'cause that's a Sony
Insomniac.
Studios game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's something that won't come to Xbox, and they actually invested all their money in it, so they paid 100% of that.
Yeah,
I
'cause
guess there we
Wolverine
go.
is
That's
coming out either probably next year.
what is?
Or
Because
the
they've been
year
teasing that
after.
Wolverine game.
Yeah.
Well,
Marvel's Wolverine.
yeah. Well, we'll see if that actually comes because that again, like they were teasing Wolverine, but if they were working on Spider-Man 2, do you really think they were working on Wolverine just as fast for them to be? I don't think they're going to be 2 years apart. I don't think Wolverine is. I think Wolverine's at least 3 years out from now. That's what
I mean, based on leaks I saw, it's definitely an alpha of a build. So I mean, I wouldn't expect that to come out
Yeah.
anytime soon either.
But going back to that, it's like Sony has gotten the ideology of, hey, our games need to be $5 billion or $50 billion, whatever Spider-Man was, and it needs to be this giant open world. I don't care what you put in it. It has to be put into something, and that's it. You can't make anything less. And then there's Astrobot, of course. That was, the
Yeah,
game
talking
that
about two
was
sides
less.
of a different coin.
Yeah.
Like Astrobot is like the ideal. Cheap, didn't take a lot of people to make, wins game of the year, right? And
Uh-huh.
then you have Spider-Man. That's like they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on it. They have to pay Marvel for licensing for it. They a huge open world. It's probably 7 years to make it. All that stuff, and yeah,
Mhm.
they're two opposites.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, like we have Astrobot, but there's really nothing else there. If Ghost of
I
Yotai
don't know
wasn't
if they have
coming
to
out,
pay Marvel for licensing because Sony owns the Spider-Man rights.
yeah, true, they do.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, they own the rights to Spider-Man for like any type of media, so gaming or movies. So I think you're right. They don't have to pay Marvel for licensing when it comes to that. But they probably got to pay for Wolverine because technically they don't own the rights to Wolverine. So
Nope.
here's that. But yeah, like it worries me about the whole industry, where we could be with Sony, because Sony is going to be at the point where okay, all their first party studios have released a game. They're probably working on the next game.
Hey,
What's
just a
next?
quick aside. I
Mhm.
did look it up online. Sony pays royalties to Marvel, now owned by Disney, for the rights to create Spider-Man video games. While Sony owns Insomniac Games and produces exclusive Spider-Man games for PlayStation, they do not own the overall gaming rights to Spider-Man. Marvel retains those rights and licenses them to Sony for specific game projects.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean that when I think about it, that could make sense because we had or not could, but that does make sense because we had what's the game on Switch? The Marvel game on Switch. Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yeah,
Oh,
correct. Yep.
Yeah, and that
forgot
has
about that one.
Spider-Man in it. So that makes sense. And we did get Marvel vs. Capcom collection, fighting collection too, that has Spider-Man in it too. So yeah, that makes sense. And there's the beat 'em ups that's coming out that has Spider-Man in it too. Was it Cosmo something?
Yeah, and also that fighting game that's coming out from
The Arc game.
Yeah.
Artworks.
But I think Sony is also funding that, which is why
That's true.
yeah, they're funding the whole project. So that like that I would consider a first party game
Yeah.
technically, even though Arc Systems is working on it, Sony's paying
That
for
ain't
it.
coming to Xbox.
Yeah.
No way.
It's kind of like Nintendo has the game from Platinum, not Bayonetta, but the other one, Astral Chain.
Astral Chain.
Yeah, that's a Nintendo IP. So even though
Is
they,
Bayonetta considered that now too? I wonder.
I think it is, except for Bayonetta 1.
Right.
Yeah, because I think Sega still owns the rights to Bayonetta 1, but Bayonetta 2 and 3 are owned by Nintendo as of right now.
And the that other game
Oh, Bayonetta.
Origins.
Yeah.
I can't remember what
That Dreams, whatever game.
Yeah.
I forget what the name
Less,
of it is,
whatever,
but yeah, the prequel.
Mm-hmm. All right, Asher fan, let's hear from you. Me and Brian have talked a lot. What are your guys' takes?
Do you want to go first, fam?
I mean, I don't really have much to add since you guys pretty much said a lot of it. It's just, I think when Microsoft was coming out with this whole idea of Game Pass, like Netflix was like at a boom, like they were at, and Microsoft was like, okay, well, we can be the Netflix of gaming. I think that's what they were like, their head was at. But that type of media just doesn't translate as well as like TV, like it's not the same. It's not a one for one. And I think whatever plans they had were just not working out. And how long had they been doing Game Pass? How many years?
So many years by now. It was like maybe 8 years, 6 to 8 years, maybe.
And I'm wondering if all of these layoffs are like just
17.
like
So 8 years. No, you're right.
See, yeah. So yeah, it's been out for a while.
So like I'm just wondering if like because freaking Google's like cloud gaming service like went down too. I mean, they did right by everybody by like refunding them all the games that they purchased.
What was it called again?
Stadia.
Stadia. Yeah. And I just don't know how Microsoft is going to do it because they're already already having to pay these studios, like the ones that are like that they don't own, like a cut to have it on Game Pass, or they're losing money either way, right?
It's all
And
dusted up.
These layoffs are just I don't think it's going to stop, to be honest.
No. Okay, James, you showed it off. Good for you. You invested in the
Stadia.
Stadia.
He's got a relic, man. It's like you're not going to see those anymore.
You're not.
Did you update it so you can use it elsewhere, or is it just you're keeping a relic of the Stadia?
I even got a video on how to do it. That was like one of my first videos to do it. It works great. And it feels good.
It's a good feeling controller.
It is. It's a really good feeling.
Yeah, it looks
controller.
nice.
I mean, if Google did anything with Stadia, they made a great controller.
Fair enough.
100%.
Going to what you're saying, Fan, like I agree. I think like the reason why it doesn't work for them for it being the Netflix of games, or why that concept doesn't really work in general, is because games take so much more time to make as opposed to like a TV show or a movie, and generally, I believe, costs so much more money.
Oh yeah,
and so it's just not a medium that's easily digestible like a movie or a TV show is. And I mean, a game is an investment, but with your mind, with your physicality, hand-eye coordination and stuff, it's not meant to be just like bite-sized when it's that kind of budget. Like it has to last forever. It has to be really long, and that's why Nintendo kind of has it right, where it's like they just invest some money. It costs some money to make a game, obviously, but It's a fun game. Like it's about fun. Like I miss like don't you remember like the NES, like all the crap that was on NES or SNES? Like yeah, there was a bunch of crap, but there was a lot of really fun stuff too. And it wasn't 4K. Like if we forgot that games could be, look at Shovel Knight, look at all these games coming out
Sea
that
of
are
Stars.
indies and stuff. Sea of Stars, yeah, great example.
Undertale.
Yeah,
Undertale.
or I mean, look at Expedition 33. That game is a beautiful game aesthetically. I'm not going to get started on
Mighty Number
Expedition 33,
9.
but no, Mighty Number 9. But
Wait, hold up, James. Slow down.
let's not put Expedition 33 and Mighty Number 9 just in the same sense just because they have numbers in the title, James. I refuse to entertain that
I would say
notion.
Hollow Knight too, but like they kind of dropped the ball with Silk Song.
Yeah, Silk Song is ridiculous. That's coming out this year finally, but yeah, that's too long for that, man.
Oh, sorry, had to rehydrate. That's funny.
Yeah.
I know how much Bryant loves Mighty Number 9, so I gotta mention that.
It's so bad, like a geek on prom night, right?
I mean,
or a nerd on prom night.
It wasn't that bad. It's nowhere near Mega Man quality. Like there's better Mega Man clones like Gravity Circuit.
It's like if you wanted to get Coke, but you couldn't afford Coke, so you bought
sewer water.
No, you bought like, what's the off-brand?
Tab or something.
I guess like Sam's
RC
Edition
Cola.
or RC Cola.
Yeah, RC Cola. There we go.
Some Fago or something.
Yeah.
Or like you do the Soda Stream.
So is Xbox now considered like you want a Coke, but you can't get Coke, so you get RC Cola, aka Xbox?
No, because RC Cola has an identity at least. You see the label and you know what an RC Cola means, right? You get an Xbox, you're like, whoa, it's an Xbox, but it said my TV says it's an Xbox.
That's true. It doesn't.
And by the way, I still own an Xbox. I'm not fanboying here. Like I own an Xbox. I had an original Xbox. I had 360. I had one. I have Series X. I'm not a fanboy. I have all the systems. I like them for different reasons.
Xbox is more like flavor water. Like the stuff you
like
put to
soda.
flavor water.
Flavor water's good though. Don't put them on the same level.
Non-carbonated soda, like flat soda, you leave out for a long time.
Okay, that I like.
Because the thing is like now their whole stance is everything is an Xbox.
Yeah.
Right. So nothing is an Xbox then.
That's true. If everything's an Xbox, then nothing's an Xbox.
And with the layoffs, like you said, with their hardware division, like I'm not going to be surprised if Xbox is going to like license out their hardware division to like another OEM to make it for them.
Well, they are kind of already with Asus.
Yeah,
but that's with the handheld. But see, that's all I'm saying. Like, I won't be surprised if the next generation Xbox is going to be that situation.
I'm sure it is that
situation.
situation. I'm positive it is. Like they're going to partner with like Dell and do Alienware or something like that. Like, I can see them doing that. It's going to be some weird trippy design because Alienware does these crazy like designs for their PCs. So I could see them doing a trippy design with Alienware. But it's also sad because, again, it goes back to, what Brian was saying. Like, they don't have an identity. And, well, let me ask you, Brian, because you still own an Xbox. I sold my Xbox. Would you buy the next Xbox? Or not would you, but will you, rather?
So, as I said, I'm a collector, right? Like I like buying, like I buy a lot of my games multi-plat. Like I quadruple dip sometimes. Like that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming out right now, or coming out in a week or two or whatever. I'm having kind of an existential crisis with it because a part of me wants to buy it on every platform because I have 1 and 2 on every platform, and I'm a big fan of the Tony Hawk games. But then there's another part of me that's like, do I really want to invest any more into this ecosystem?
Yeah.
Like, at what point am I literally just throwing money away? Like, what I should do is buy it on PlayStation and Steam, so I can play it on Steam Deck and play it on PlayStation. That's my main place to play. And then maybe one day buy it on Switch too when the prices drop significantly. Maybe, but like, yeah, I'm really not keen on buying too much stuff on Xbox anymore. I really am not. I don't see what the point is. But I have this library already that has so much stuff in it. It's like I don't know. I can't decide. But I definitely am limiting my spending going forward. That's for sure.
They've diluted the Xbox brand They
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
spread themselves too thin.
Yep.
They try to put their hands in too many cookie jars,
Hmm.
and now it's biting them in the butt.
Yeah. You know, one of the saddest things that Xbox that comes from Xbox that has my heart hurting is they own Banjo Kazooie. Like, they have
Yeah.
such a good IP,
Yep.
right? And every time I see this guy, he's stuck on Xbox. It's like
Yeah, that's sad.
do either sell Rare. Hopefully Nintendo would buy Rare, right? So they can
That'd be
make
incredible. What a great news day that would be.
yeah, or at least sell Nintendo the IP because I'm sure
Yes,
Nintendo would know
that's even
what to
better.
do with Banjo Kazooie.
Correct. Yep.
But the thing that baffles me is like they have great IPs. They don't know how to make games no more. Halo was a great IP. I loved Halo. I enjoyed Halo. I thought Halo Infinite was actually good. And they were like, nah, we're gonna end it there. They promised like these updates. And
Yep.
I remember that pissed me off because I was like so excited for Halo Infinite. I was defending Halo Infinite. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna stop the story campaign there and we're gonna move on to something else. Like, no, like, you said that this was gonna be like your one Halo game for the rest of the generation, and you were gonna add to it. I thought that was a cool concept because I was all in for that. Like, you're gonna sell me one game, you're gonna expand the way they built the world. I forgot what the place was. Well, I guess it was you're on another Halo ring. The
Yeah,
way
you're on
they
Halo, I think.
built
Yeah.
it was like, okay, you can see that they can expand the land in here and add it as they go, which was kind of a cool concept. I like the gameplay. It was very Metroid Prime-ish, in terms of like how it even had a jingle when you did like a little puzzle. There weren't that many, but when you figured out something, it had its own jingle, kind of like Metroid Prime, which was kind of cool. But they just kind of like let it go. Gears of War, I mean, to me, Gears of War 5, I'm probably in the minority, but I feel like it didn't know where it was going.
I didn't like Gears of War. Excuse me, I didn't like Gears 5 either.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not alone because I played it and
No,
I'm like, oh wow, this feels like a Naughty Dog-ish game. But I'm like, but it's Gears of War. Why?
it doesn't fit. I
Yeah.
finished it and I didn't care for it. It was okay. It wasn't
Yeah,
bad. It
same here.
wasn't
And the
like,
story was just
but
like, oh, forget everything that happened in 4. Here's 5. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, this makes no sense. So it feels like there's definitely like a identity crisis within Microsoft in all fronts, not just hardware, but software fronts. Outside of, I guess, Forza, unless they make the next Forza about horses and you're actually horse racing and not car racing, like, you know, that would be the only thing that would make things go crazy. But like nothing they've done makes any sense. And hopefully they don't ruin Call of Duty. They just added Beavis and Butthead in there as skins, so like
yeah, I saw that.
yeah. But it's like I don't think this was a Microsoft thing, but they're trying to like change Call of Duty to almost Fortnite. They're starting to add a bunch of skins. They added
Yeah,
the Gundam
it's their
skins.
Fortnite kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. They keep doing collaborations there, which I guess I can't get too mad about that. But their other IPs, I can't think of anything that came out good outside maybe Indiana Jones, right? But how much of that was Microsoft involved? I don't think they were involved at all. Everything else they've kind of ruined.
How much did that sell? I bet that didn't sell much at all.
I
Everybody
don't
played
think
on Game
so.
Pass.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's the other thing. So for people to put into perspective on how like the industry works and how like this works. When you have a subscription, yes, there's revenue. But you got to understand that if you're paying, what is it, like $20 for a month for Game Pass, or is it 15?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have it yearly
So,
right now.
so I think for Ultimate, I think it's like 25. I think for Game Pass Ultimate, and then for PC is like 20,
Okay.
and then you just want Xbox by itself. I think it's like maybe $15.
Okay.
I'm not too sure. Yeah.
So you're looking at, 25 for Ultimate. We'll talk Ultimate here. And let's say you have 1 million subscribers, right? So 25 million out there, right? You With that 25 million, you have to divide that by all the games that are in Game Pass, right? There are games in Game Pass that are more than $25 million, meaning that these developers are not getting much money in there. I'm sure Microsoft has been fronting the costs, which is why it's been so low, and now they're doing a lot of like price hikes because they've been eating the cost for a lot of these things, which it makes no sense. Versus them selling you a $60, $70 game and then Microsoft gets its 30%, and then these companies get the rest of that money. They're losing a lot more money by putting their game into Game Pass. I'm
in the long
sure,
run.
yeah, in the long run. And I'm sure Microsoft
Yeah.
is giving them money to put their game into Game Pass.
Like you
Indie,
sell one
yeah,
game, 1,000,000 copies that
mhm,
costs 60, $70.
yeah, exactly. And you're making more money already, just versus
Mm.
you get people on Game Pass, and then maybe they're giving you like $1 per play or something like that. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's a low number that each publisher is getting, or each company is getting for each game. There was something else I was gonna say. Indies might be the only people that benefit from Game Pass because their games don't cost that much to begin with. So like, it might get people who were never gonna buy their game to begin with, try out their game and they get money. So like indie developers, I can get it for them. PlayStation Plus has helped a lot of indie developers, and they've come out and said like, if their game never came to PlayStation Plus, they probably would have had to close down the studio. But
Rocket League was a
yeah,
famous one that came out like that, and it
yep.
like soared in popularity because of that.
Yeah, exactly. I know I wouldn't have played Rocket League if it wasn't on PlayStation Plus, but it was, and I enjoyed it. So the business model of Game Pass does not work. Again, for the consumer, it's great. You get to play all these games for a cheap price. But for the industry, it's not good. And you got to have that balance of, okay, I get it. This is very pro-consumer, but we got to also worry about the industry, because without the industry, then there is no consumer, right? And of course, vice versa, right? Without the consumer, there's no industry. But where we're heading is, I feel like we're heading into a video game crash again. And I think it's just starting with Microsoft, and Microsoft got hit first. But I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation starts struggling later on. What do you guys think?
I haven't said my full take on the previous topic, so
Go
I'll
ahead.
start with that first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for starters, I feel like with Microsoft, they definitely mishandled on how they did their finances, so with the video game side of things per se, and I think this mainly comes down to like how management is like dividing the resources amongst the company itself, and on top of that, I'm pretty sure they're always constantly, telling their holders that they're going to do this and that with these games when it comes to like, hey, we're going to turn. You're probably I don't know who said that they're trying to turn Call of Duty to Fortnite or something like that, but they probably told that to the stakeholders to be like, hey, listen, Call of Duty is going to be like even bigger than Fortnite. We're going to get Beavis and Butthead into this. We're going to get so many other skins and characters into this, and we're going to make this all crossover. And if I was a stakeholder, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna put so much more into your stock or something like that. And the thing is that Microsoft is like really trying to chase a lot of things at once, and they need to really focus on mainly their exclusives. So for the Game Pass aspect, I feel like the Game Pass would have been more beneficial for Microsoft if they would have just did like the Xbox exclusive only games. So like the games I'm talking about, or like games like I'm about to say Xbox. Games like Gears of War, games like Halo Finite. They call it Infinite, but it's Finite because there's literally no content for that game anymore, man. But there's also other games they got. If I'm trying to, I mean, would you count Killer Instinct? Killer Instinct was made by Rare, right?
No,
Yep,
Iron
originally.
Galaxy.
Well,
Yeah.
originally it was Rare, but then the new one is Iron Galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Brain. Okay. It's all good. Anyway, but like, I'm pretty sure Killer Instinct. I think Microsoft will put a lot of money for that as well. So maybe they should try to like put more money into that particular game, because Killer Instinct is still a good fighting game. It's just not as popular because the IP is at a plateau right now. We're not trying to innovate further in with that game per se. So
I think Iron Galaxy is owned by Sony now. Hold on.
What I do know is that ex devs from Killer Instinct are now working on the new Invincible game that's coming out. Don't know when though, but it's just that when they were working on Killer Instinct, it was just for starters. I think the game is free, and there's like different tiers that you can buy it from, which is like a nice little entry into like playing the game. But they haven't really provided any new updates or fun stuff along with it to keep people interested, or heck, even make a sequel to it or something like that. So there's that IP, but it's just that I feel like Microsoft, was getting way too close to the sun when it comes to just buying a whole bunch of damn studios and essentially just practically doing nothing. I feel like they bought those studios just so they can appease their investors, and that's it. Because they're like, hey, we got all these studios, and we're gonna have them make these groundbreaking AAA titles, well, for what they're known for, and they had nothing to show for it, you know. And it's just, I feel like with Game Pass, if they were going to go with that route to like have like a whole bunch of third-party games, including their exclusives into that, I feel like they should have been more aggressive and say, hey, if you really want to play these games, you have to buy the Xbox and the Xbox only. You can't play this on PC, just Xbox, and that's it. No, nothing else. And I'm coming from a place where I'm playing Expedition 33 literally through Game Pass right now, and I'm saying that should have been if they want their Xbox exclusive games, like if it's only Xbox only, keep it Xbox only. And because that's another thing, they meshed in the Windows platform along with Game Pass as well. I feel like that should have been kept separate, even though the majority of their gamers use Windows. It's just when you put everything on Game Pass PC, you're moving players away from the Xbox platform altogether and stuff. I mean, Sony doesn't do that. I mean, they have their own PlayStation Plus. That's what it's called. PlayStation Plus. Is there like another tier where you also get like games with it? Like you don't own the games, but they'll give you games to play like
Premium.
on a monthly basis.
Yeah,
premium.
Yeah,
PlayStation but that's
PlayStation
They have
Plus.
tiers. They have tiers in
Standard-
PlayStation Plus.
Standard, extra, and premium. I believe is the 3.
and all those tiers, you can only use that on the PS5 console. You can't use that on PC, obviously. So Microsoft should take that approach if they still want to, feel like Game Pass is the future. They need to be more aggressive when it comes to, hey, play this only on the Xbox. But at this point, that's already too late because they're already saying, hey, this is an Xbox. Oh, that's also an Xbox.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it. Like, so it's so hard. Now they're now in this weird like trap now to where like, where do you go from there? Right.
So I do think also part of that issue though, and actually real quick before I comment on that, Iron Galaxy is not owned by PlayStation. They are an independent studio. Fun fact, 3 of their first games was Street Fighter Third Strike Online Edition, Marvel vs. Capcom Origins, and Darkstalkers Resurrection, which were like the Xbox Arcade / PlayStation Network version of those games.
Yeah.
That was their first games, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then last fun fact was they Iron Galaxy actually is helping with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. And they help with Metroid Prime Remastered as well. So they're basically a helper studio at this point. But going with what you're saying, like I do think that the other difference they have as of right now is the exclusive side of things, right? Like PlayStation, you get PlayStation Plus Premium. You can play like Horizon Forbidden West and a bunch of other games. Where Microsoft, you get Xbox Game Pass, but you know that the game that's on there, like Indiana Jones, for example, you can also play it on PC. You can also play it on a PlayStation now. So there's multiple consoles there.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is that they should, like the Indiana Jones again. I'm not too sure if that was mainly like a game that Microsoft like put their most money into, like so Sony does with other games and stuff. But they should have kept the Indiana Jones game only on the Xbox as like an Xbox exclusive per se, and because like now you have a situation to where like, okay, oh, it's also coming to PC now. Oh, great, I don't have to buy an Xbox for it. I already have a decent PC that can run the game now. And like, it's just, it's really now at the beginning they should like been more aggressive when it comes to like, hey, buy it on Xbox. But now even when I'm saying these things, it's already kind of too late at that point.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like, which kind of like goes into like the whole video game crash thing, is that when it comes to like these mostly AAA gaming studios, they need to do better when it comes to like how to do resource management on what to focus on a game itself, right? And a game can be really beautiful. It can we can have all the hair strands and all that kind of stuff. And then the thing is, I'm not a big graphics guy. I'm not. Like I love any sort. I love any type of game as long as the game is fun. It's fun, But and you can still have your amazing graphics and stuff. It's just you can't be over investing over a certain one important part of the game and think that is going to sell like hotcakes. You got to make sure you equally divide it amongst the team and make sure you get a overall really good product and stuff. And even if they do that, right? Even if they do that, it's the other problem of capitalism, to where like there's one game in particular that was and I forgot, it's a rhythm game. I forgot what's it called. Is this something? No. It's a whole rhythm game. I forgot the name of the main character. Yeah. He had like a mechanical arm. He lost it and stuff. And he
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush. Yes, that was a shadow drop. And literally after like 2 to 3 months later, the studio got defunct or something like that because the game didn't make enough money. But later on, they did come back. I'm not going to say they did come back, but the fact that the game was so well received, but the studio itself still got defunct temporarily because the game didn't sell enough, right? I don't know what their profit what kind of profit they're trying to reach with that, but it's just, you gotta just gotta let the devs make the damn game. Let them cook. It's like it's a bakery, bro. You need to let it out of the oven at the right time. That's it. Like, just let them do their thing, and then I don't care what the stakeholders got to say. But like, hey, I want this game out by 2026 holiday. I'm like, but they're like, hey, listen, that's not feasible right now because we still got to iron this, and this out when it comes to the code and everything. And I know this a little bit here because I'm kind of in a position at my company where I'm more of a liaison between the actual devs that work on our product and the customers. And sometimes there are certain features that we need to implement and put it on a roadmap. That it needs time. It needs time to bake. Because we need to do QA testing, we need to do this and that. Make sure everything's ironed out. And if you rush out a product because of capitalism or because of stakeholders, then you're going to get a crappy product. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of different things and stuff. It's not just Microsoft; it's also Sony as well, because they try to follow a lot of trends and convince their stakeholders, hey, this is going to be the next big thing. Yeah. We call that Concord. I don't know how much money they invest again, like 30 million, 40 million. Yeah, and the game's trash. Like,
because we're close to Concord 2 right now with Marathon.
Yeah, yeah, and if anything, in my head, I'm thinking, hey, with capitalism,
also fair games.
Oh, true. Like in my head, with capitalism, I see, hey, the more money you put into something, the better the product is going to be. Mm-hmm. And so far, we're not really seeing that at all. We're not seeing that for a good amount of games here. So it's just they need to dial back and just be like, okay, if we're spending this much money on this, what are some things where we can actually optimize how much resources we're actually putting into the team, right? So that way we can still get a good quality product and still make our profit, Yeah.
I do wonder, like, when it comes to Microsoft's decisions, I'm sure a lot of it has to do not even with Phil Spencer, but with what's his name, something Nadella or whatever, the CEO of Microsoft. Because like when you hear him talk, it almost seems like he doesn't even know what's going on in the gaming industry. He doesn't know what it is. He just wants, hey, where's the money? Why is the money not there?
Exactly,
because that's all it seems he cares about. Like, he doesn't know exactly how games run. He thinks that this is like Microsoft Word, where you don't need a giant team to develop, Word or whatever. Like, it doesn't go that way.
Yeah, like I love reading credits or whatever. I'm like finish watching a movie or finish playing the game and stuff. Heck, I recently 2 weeks ago, when I got done with all the Grand Prix stuff for Mario Kart War and stuff, I like reading all the credits. I'm like, damn, all these people worked on this amazing game. Awesome, And it takes talented individuals to make really good products. But if you rush those talented individuals, you're not going to get the result that you're expecting to get. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, when it comes to capitalism, unfortunately, it just ties to a lot to instant gratification. When we want something now. We need to have an ideology where sometimes we just need to wait on certain things to be done at the right time.
Well,
right.
So I don't think that's technically capitalism. I think that's more just greediness. I think that's something totally separate, because when it comes to that, it's more these people just want their money now. They don't care what it takes. And it's just a false ideology of how things work, right? It's just it's my money, I want it now, right? They watch too much of that commercial. I forgot what commercial was that? JG Wentworth or something like. Remember that commercial? Like it's my money, I
Yeah,
want it now. Like yeah, like it's literally what.
their expectations are just not reality.
Yeah, and that's the sad part of these things is that they don't, and you need to also step up and be like, hey man, it don't work that way. Like I feel like Nintendo's president. I don't know the guy yet. Like, well, I'm never gonna know, but I'm saying like in the way in terms of like his persona, how he is, I'm not too sure about him still. But he has gone out a couple of times saying like, if a game when they ask questions, like, yeah, we're working on it, just chill. He has said it a couple of times. He doesn't give like a speech or anything. He says, it'll come out when it's done. When the Switch 2, investors kept asking, hey, when's the Switch 2? When's the Switch 2? So yeah, we're working on it. That's all he kept saying. We're working on it. We're working on it, and he
Honestly,
even delayed it because he's like, you know what? Rather than release it because investors want it released, we're going to delay it so we have enough inventory so we can sell more. And it's paid off. Like, I
yeah,
think you have to
which I'm
also
fine with,
step
yeah.
up to these investors and be like, yo, man, like, no, we're not going to do it now. We're going to do it this way because this is the right way to do things. And I think Sony used to be that way. I feel that Sony is slowly turning it to that, thanks to Jim Ryan. So let's move on to that side of things. Do you feel that Sony is in trouble of being the next Xbox? Maybe not in a year or two, but maybe in the next 5 years because of its identity of moving games to multiple platforms. It's not doing the Game
Well,
Pass thing, which I think it's smart. Like Sony is smart. They know, hey, Game Pass is not where it's at. They've said it plenty of times where they will put their first party games on it, but they also take it out from PlayStation Plus because they know the value of their first party titles and they know they know what it's worth, which is smart of them. But I think they've hit that roadblock of we need to make this $50 billion game and every game needs to be $15 billion except for Astrobot because somehow Astrobot got the exception card.
well, I would say this. With them making $50 billion games and stuff, right? So there's definitely the huge miss with Concord, of course, 1,000,000%. But I think before that, I mean, they did have some hits. Now, I personally didn't play these games, but I'm pretty sure Fan and Brian had. We call those Last of Us. Last of Us 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure those games did well for
Ever
them,
played The
right?
Last of Us?
No,
Oh,
I tried
wow.
out Last of Us 1, but
Okay.
I just couldn't get into it. I'm not a big zombie apocalypse guy. The only zombie
Let me
game
correct
I love.
something. I kept saying billion. It's 300
Dead
million.
Rising?
Well, yeah, that's why I did the air quotes.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Dead
So
Rising? Is that
Yeah,
the only game you got into that was?
Dead Rising and Dying Light. Dead
Dying
Rising. I love Dead Rising because it was just funny. Dying Light, I love it mainly for the
About
hardcore.
like zombie games?
Yeah,
Yeah,
zombie
he says
games.
he's
Yeah.
not into zombie games.
You don't like Resident
Generally.
Evil?
You play Resident Evil, don't you?
I play Resident Evil mainly for how did it made for the lore itself, right? That's pretty much it. I like reading all the lore encyclopedias and stuff, and how
That's
did
a
this
good world.
virus happen? Yeah, so it is. And then I try to get into Walking Dead and stuff, but and at the beginning I was like, okay, Walking Dead it seems kind of cool. I mean, running away from zombies, but later on it went from human versus human and stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess. It's just I'm not too big on that, if anything. So, but I'm pretty sure those games did extremely well, and those games look extremely beautiful as well, right? So it can work. It's just they need to make sure to let the devs do make what they want to make, right? Because Concord with that particular game, they were just following the trend with that one. That was just that was a game that was basically a product of something that they won't want to chase after per se. Not Dying Light. Crap, my brain. Last of Us, I feel like it wasn't, even though the whole zombie apocalypse thing was trendy, but they did the story in their own way and had fun with the game. So, and that translated well for all the consumers that bought the game and stuff. So,
When
as
Last of
long
Us
as
came
I-
out, I think Walking Dead was the big thing at that time. That was the biggest TV show.
yeah, Last of Us came out in the PS3 era.
Yeah, that's so crazy to think about that Last of Us comes from the PS3 era. Like when
Yeah.
you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Last of Us came out in the PS3 era, and then like when the PS4 came out, I think that's when I think Last of Us I think got the first like
Remastered.
patch. No, I think even the original version was able to run at the 60 FPS on the PS4. I think.
No,
No.
PS3 games are compatible with PS4.
Oh shoot, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh,
had The Last of
God.
Us remastered.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that I forgot about that. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. But yeah, it's just they can still make those extremely expensive games. They just need to let the devs cook. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Let the devs cook, and you'll make your money back. And don't rush it. You know. So but yeah, that's pretty much it with that. I feel like Sony is okay for right now for where they're at. I mean, yeah, we're only getting freaking Ghost of Yotei, and then what's the other game? What's the other one? Oh, Death Stranding 2, if you want to count
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Do
which
we
we
wanna
don't
count
count. No, because that's Kojima Studios. Like,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's
It's
good.
not PlayStation Studios.
Yeah. So,
Like
and I'm
another
pretty sure
good example.
I'm pretty sure Ghost of Yotei is gonna do well, extremely well, actually. So
It will. Another good example of like an Xbox game that isn't on PlayStation that just kind of disappeared, and I really attribute that to Game Pass is Starfield. Like I
Yeah.
remember they had two Xbox equivalent directs for Starfield, or like they had like the main one and Starfield was like a part of it. Then I think they had another one where Starfield was like the main topic of it. And that game, like nobody's talking about that game. Like you hear
Yeah.
about, oh, we're updating this in Starfield. It's like, who is playing this? Who is talking about this? And it was gonna be such a big deal. It's gonna be like the new Fallout, like their new
Skyrim.
franchise. The new
Yeah.
Skyrim, right? And nobody's talking about it. And it's like it's only a matter of time before that probably comes to PlayStation. Surprised it hasn't come yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if and when it does.
I wonder what failed with Starfield. I keep forgetting because like when the game was when they kept advertising the game, I
They
know
overpromised a lot of features that
that's
did
what I
not
them
end
thought.
up
too.
That's what I
happening.
thought it was. So it was
Oh, yeah,
essentially
wasn't
almost
it
like
like you
freaking
can fly to any planet or something, but then it wasn't really a seamless flight? Like there was like loading screens and like some other
Yeah,
stuff.
that was a disappointment for sure. Like people thought it would be like No Man's Sky, where you'd
Yeah.
like lift off of the planet, go into space, and in Starfield, it's like you just choose and then you kind of just like go to a spot. Like you can't. I don't think you can fully explore the planet. It's like you
Yeah,
have
it's only
special
a small
spots you can
map.
drop down on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and each
Okay,
planet was
so-
like that.
So when did they actually implement that feature to Starfield for Starfield? If you guys remember, like on top of your head, like
What, the
rough
flying?
estimate.
That's part
Yeah,
of the
for-
game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you guys
No,
were
that's
saying
what they
like,
promised. They promised that
Yeah, it never
when they
happened,
were
though.
talking about the game.
yeah,
That, hey, you can just
at
get in
release,
your
right?
ship and
Mhm.
move to another planet and explore.
And on release
But-
that wasn't there.
No,
No, it
that's
still
not even a
isn't.
No,
feature.
it's not even part of the game. It's not even
Yeah.
a
Oh,
feature.
it's not, I
That's
thought
what
they
we're
added that.
saying.
I thought they added
No,
that
they
stuff
never
later on.
added that.
No.
No,
that's
they
crazy.
overpromised on what the game was capable of doing, and it just
Correct.
didn't land.
Mm,
That was a
okay.
big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, they just
Yeah, because
they
there were
just-
streamers like there was a streamer that was like the big. I can't remember her name, but she did it where she got in a spaceship, and she just flew
Yeah, I
for
remember
like
that.
hours and
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours, and she
Mhm.
got to the planet, but she couldn't land on the planet. The planet was basically just like an image on the like it wasn't an actual
Right.
asset she could actually get into.
It was a JPEG. That's it.
Yeah. It was like, what the hell? They promised that I could fly from one planet to another planet without like.
yeah. So they pretty much lied. Okay, makes sense.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
If they, I wish they.
Just
Yeah,
stick
that's on
to,
them. That's on
like-
that's on them for like just saying what can you do and what you cannot do for the most part. So
What were we gonna say?
But
Vance?
we're
Like,
gonna say them?
if developers like do anything, like Nintendo does a great job. They play to their strengths, but they also play to the strengths of their hardware,
Mhm.
right? And that's why the
Nintendo?
Switch did so well.
Yeah.
Nintendo, like
Yeah.
they made sure, like, hey, this game was gonna run good, and we're gonna try and maximize the hardware as much as possible that you enjoy the game.
Except for Pokemon Violet.
Yeah, that's
You
not
see
their fault,
Scarlet got
though.
another update?
well, that's
I
Game
did,
Freak. That's
yeah.
Game Freak.
That's Game Freak's fault.
Yeah, that's Game Freak right there. You can't blame that on Nintendo. So
So like if Microsoft with Starfield, if they would have just like, this is what the Xbox Series S, they should always aim for optimal performance on the S. And then whatever the X can do is just gravy on top of it.
Okay.
Right. And then like
So-
play to that hardware, and I think not add all these arbitrary features that would have pretty much killed the game.
So going back to the initial question though, Ash, so you think the same thing, kind of like the PlayStation could be positioning itself into a trouble if it can, if it in a little bit of trouble if it continues the way it's going? Because so far it's not one, but two games have had an issue so far, and we
Yeah,
hope that Ghost of Yotei is good, and Sucker Punch is going to deliver, which I agree with Brian. Like I think it will deliver, but outside of those games, like where are we at with everything else?
yeah, it's just they just need to be extremely careful on what they invest into next for their next whatever big game. If anything, maybe they should just take an approach and just look at Astrobot. They didn't spend too much on Astrobot.
That's what I was saying.
Well, okay, I don't know. There's proof of that what their budget was for that game, but I'm imagining it's gonna be way lower than Concord ever was.
Oh yeah, Team Asobi is a smaller team. They're a way smaller dev team.
Yeah, so but like I think they need to go back to the blueprint and just look at, hey, okay, we know Last of Us, we did well for that and stuff. We put a lot of money to it. We did well. And these need to figure out what went wrong with Concord, learn from that, and then what went right with Astrobot and learn from that as well. Right.
So
and
to let you know this, I want to say it was a week or two ago, Sony doubled down and said that they are concentrating their efforts on live service games. Even though they canceled a bunch of projects that were live service, and they had that whole Concord issue, they're still doubling down on live service games.
Mainly on live service games.
Mm-hmm. That's their majority, that they want to build live service games.
Yeah. If they mean, okay, so at that point, yeah, they could be a big trouble depending on what those live service games are, right? Depends, because it's fairly vague in the future on like what other games are going to invest into when it comes to live service. I mean, they were trying to make Conquer their live service game, but that obviously failed miserably. But that really just extremely depends, right? Helldivers, I know Helldivers did well. I know that. So there's that they can soon. Oh, that's coming to Xbox? Okay. All right. So I know they did well with Helldivers. I don't know any other live service games that they have that's like exclusive onto PlayStation that I know of.
I think, trying to remember, there's an IP. Oh, Gears of War comes out to PlayStation the same day that Helldivers 2 comes out on Xbox.
That's weird. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But is there any like other live service games that they have that's only on PlayStation?
I mean, that's the only one. Concord flopped. Marathon got delayed because of all the issues.
Foam Stars flopped.
Yeah, Foam Stars. Well, Square Enix.
Foam Star. Okay.
It's still only on
PlayStation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. That's. I mean, they need to like look back on those and be like, listen,
if they're gonna do a live service game, they need to reach into their old IP. Like if they made a freaking God, what's the game? Killzone. If they somehow like brought that IP back and like implemented a live service well, like I think that would actually work.
Yeah, it could work.
But is it like
supposedly they're going to do with Horizon?
They were going to do that, and they canceled that project. I think.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because that was supposed to be more. The Horizon game was supposed to be more like an MMO live service type deal, which sounded cool. Like I probably would have, tested out to see how it went, but they canceled that, I believe.
It's weird. It's also weird too because I mean they also canceled the like the live service for the Spider-Man game and stuff because they had something
multiplayer.
They had something going for that, but they just canceled it. I'm like, what? What out of all the IPs, you decided to cancel the multiplayer Spider-Man game with Insomniac? Come on, like.
I mean, it would have been the better version of Gotham Knights because that's what it was sounding like. Where you play as like Miles. I think it was Miles. Was it Gwen? Spider-Man.
Basically, the Spider-Verse.
Somebody else. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So like, I'm just like, damn, why did they cancel? Like, there's got to be a good reason why they canceled that particular one. Maybe it was getting too expensive. Maybe I'm not too sure. But
well, I think they said because they want Insomniac to focus on their other IPs or their other games.
Okay,
So that was a good
Yeah,
excuse. I'll give them that.
that's
Like,
fair.
why have them do that? Have them work on Wolverine already.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's just they need to be. I mean, if they really are really dead set on just or just focusing mainly on live service, they need to come out with some banger live service games if you want to make this work. All right, you can say you want something, but what do you have to make that possibly happening? And so far, you're not
Concord got
proving.
canceled and Marathon got put on ice.
Yeah, you're not proving to us that you want to mainly focus on live service games because
also.
Yep.
Last of Us
multiplayer got canceled.
I got canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. That's insane.
I got canceled a long time ago. You didn't know that?
Yeah.
We
I
talked
don't follow
about
Last
it.
of Us like that. Yeah, I don't follow
Yeah.
Last of Us like that. So
Bungie
that's
came in
one
and
thing.
said it wasn't up to spec, and they canceled it.
Yeah.
Well, was Sony putting money into that too, or like they had to be, weren't they?
Yeah, they
it
own
was
it.
Naughty Dog. Yeah.
So okay, that's a missed opportunity.
You know what would be a good live
Do
service?
you think they could turn Infamous into a live service game?
No, but I
If
do
the
think they could
IP is
turn
popular
Twisted
enough.
Metal into a live service game.
It's
Because
I mean, they
Look,
did
I
well
know-
with Sony did good with Rocket League when it came out. So I mean, you could easily turn Twisted Metal and add like Rocket League modes, like game modes.
I think just like it's you combat each other, right? It's a multiplayer game where you fight each other. It would do.
Yeah,
fine.
but I'm saying like there could be other modes like that too, where they can do like fun, wacky, weird,
Yeah.
like deathmatch games.
they can give it a shot. It's
so
just my problem is
before we continue the live service talk, I want to have Brian give his take, as I think he's the only one here. Me and Fan own the PS5. Fan, do you have your PS5?
Yeah, but he's the only one that owns a Pro.
Yeah, well,
No,
I'm saying he's the only one that
digital.
has his hooked up and uses it. I don't. Do you still?
Oh no, I
it?
use mine. I actually was playing the Veilguard. I bought it on the PS5.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so he's the only one that has the Pro. Then we'll give him the title of we'll call him Red
Pro
So
Man?
Deep Pro.
There you go.
So yeah. What is your thoughts on the future of PlayStation? Like, do you fear that they might walk into the same trap because they're starting to put their games on, PC, which makes it less appealing to be like, okay, well, you have somebody like Ash who's like, well, I'll just get it on PC. I'll wait a year and get the same game on PC.
No, I don't mind them at all bringing things out a year after the fact on PC. Like, I think that's great. There's just some people, they're never going to get to buy a console, and if people want to play it on PC, then that's totally fine. Like for me, I have a gaming PC. I know I could wait a year and have a better experience with Death Stranding 2 probably on my PC. Am I going to wait a year to play Death Stranding 2? Well, with the way the platinum is going right now for Expedition 33, I might, but no, I'm going to play Death Stranding 2 on PlayStation immediately. And if there's people like Ash or any other PC gamer that'd rather just wait for that exclusive to come and have depending on your setup, a better experience, or maybe not, but you just would prefer to play it there on Steam, like that's totally cool. But to answer your question about do I think that they're kind of falling into a similar trap, I'm going to say that Sony is doing something where they're kind of skirting the line between Microsoft and Nintendo, where Sony believes in its software. And yes, they spend a lot of money. Yes, there are these games that take years to make. Yes, they've had some failures, but they believe in their software enough to have you pay for it. Whereas Microsoft didn't believe in their software enough to have you pay for it. They wanted you to buy a subscription to play it. And so I think because at least they have that confidence that they're going to continue to sell. Because PlayStation's revenues are the highest they've ever been, and that's after all the economic factors that have come into play. People are still buying video games, and then that's even after the prices, the game prices have raised and everything too. So I'm not really worried about the future of PlayStation. I really think it's in a good place. Like, yeah, there's not a ton of first party stuff coming out. Like you said, Nintendo does a better job of that, kind of bringing something exciting out every month or every other month. And Sony, it's a pretty dry well. Like, we'll be lucky to get 2 big bangers this year. And so that's kind of a problem. But I think that people think PlayStation is a lot more safer place to play just because they believe in themselves, I believe.
I don't have any objections with anything you said. So I think you're spot on with that. That for right now, PlayStation has at least the IP power. And it's a safer bet to play than Xbox. So for people who are not buying a gaming PC, which it takes a lot to get invested in, and there's just something about a console that, as much as I do PC game like the majority now, as I have my PlayStation here still boxed up, but I can't tell you how many times these past 2 weeks I've been like, man, I just want to press the button and play. Like I don't want to have to open it up, and then have to, do anything. Really, you don't, I guess, on handhelds, but it's still like it's nice to just go ahead, rest mode,
PS5 is very
do stuff
turnkey.
like that. Yeah, it's the systems are made for the controller, so you got to know what you're getting already. It's just a sleek experience where it's not a big deal, but you still get like if I'm playing on the Steam Deck or if I'm playing the ROG Ally X, you still get a little bit of lag in certain things. Like the other day on my ROG Ally X, I had to restart it because my controller wasn't being recognized. My controller being the actual controller on the ROG Ally X, none of the buttons were being recognized. So I had to go ahead and restart the ROG Ally X. And with PlayStation, at least, you really wouldn't have to deal with that, which is one reason why I'm excited that if the next PlayStation has a handheld version, I'm excited for that because I think, it's going to be good. Honestly, I think they've learned from the Vita. They see the success of the Switch. They see how people are liking the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally X. They can do a great handheld device. I mean, how many times have I said on the podcast, I would love a handheld PS4, right? Just give me a handheld PS4, and Nintendo was like, here you go. But like I would like a handheld PS4. Let me play my PS5 games just in a PS4 quality. I'm okay with that, and I would play that handheld. Because
Yeah,
there's
the Portal
something.
was a miss. They could have done a little better on.
What was it?
I said the Portal
Yeah.
was a little bit of a miss.
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
because it.
Not financially, that thing's been a freaking rock star. They've been selling
Yeah,
those
it's
things like
like
hotcakes.
10
I know,
it's a
but
$10
like
device
it,
that they're selling at $200. Like,
the
But yeah, I
markup
wish
on
the
it
hardware
is
was a little
insane.
better.
Yes, but yeah, like if they would have put Wi-Fi 6 or 7 in it instead of just leaving Wi-Fi 5, would have
Better
been a big
sticks.
improvement. And even if I think if they could have even just allowed it to like play PlayStation Plus like games on it, like if you could stream PlayStation
you
Plus to
can.
the Portal
You
without
can.
having to have the PS5
Yeah, you can without
at
the
launch.
PS5.
Yeah, PS
Yeah,
Now.
but that wasn't like that at launch.
On launch,
That was
yeah.
like
No, they added that.
Yeah.
they added that like a year later. Like
Yeah.
it took them so long to like figure
Yeah.
this all out.
They waited
So
for
they're
me to
just like
sell
these
the
little things
Portal.
that if they would have just like executed right at the beginning, it would have been like a lot bigger of a success.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I agree. I always said it would have been cool to have, like, they already had didn't they have PPSSPP playing on there? I think they
Yeah,
did.
someone already like hacked it and like had emulators running on it.
Yeah.
Didn't they fix that though?
I think they did patch it so you can't do that
Yeah.
anymore. Because I think the guy did it and then he went and told them after
Yeah, he
that.
told them. Yeah.
He told the
Yeah.
developers and did it, but like at least it kind of shows you can do that. And in my mind, I was like, oh, it would be kind of cool if you can play PS1 and PSP games natively on the Portal, and then everything
Yeah.
else you had to stream. Like I wouldn't, or that I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I would have
have
been
to put
fine
some
with that.
storage
I
into it.
probably would have re-upped my PlayStation Plus subscription.
Yeah.
If I would have been able to do that, because then I could play freaking Legend of Dragoon in my bed.
Yep. Legend of Dragoon. It's funny you mentioned that. I've had that game in my mind all week, which is part of the reason why I've been debating on putting my PS5 up here and just playing it.
You know what Sony should do? They should take a look at their analytics on their PlayStation Plus and go through all the games that are actually being streamed and played and figure out which ones would need a revival that would like be a smash hit.
But I'm pretty sure they do, and then they say which one we could turn into a live service, and then they're like, none of them. Like a live
That's what I'm
service.
saying. Like if they see a lot of people streaming a PS1 game or a PS2 game, right?
Yeah.
It may not fit into that live service model, but they could have just like, all right, like what if we remake this game, do a reboot, add more content to it? People
Yeah.
would probably spend 60, 70, I guess $80 now.
Yeah.
For that game.
So we're gonna move on to the last part of this topic, and that is the future of gaming, which is what we titled today's
it's Rocky.
podcast. What was that?
It's Rocky.
Yeah. So there was a report that came out recently that said that game sales, especially amongst younger people, are I think it's 25% lower than last year, right? And when I think about this, me and Fan have kids. I have a 14-year-old, or is he 13? He's one of those two. I forgot. Um, but when I look at him, I'm like, I was talking to him today. I was like, why don't you play real games? Like, why don't you play real games? You used to play, you played Breath of the Wild, you played through Tears of the Kingdom, you have like 300 hours in there, and then you just shifted, and now all he plays is like Roblox, and
Ugh.
that's really it, honestly.
I
Like,
mean, I'm not
he,
on Roblox, but
yeah, but it's like that's all he plays. I'm like,
yeah.
is the future of gaming? I think like we love the next Mario's, we love the next, Donkey Kongs, whatever it can be, but like the next generation doesn't care about that. Honestly, I think 10 years from now, maybe 15 years from now, I don't know where we're gonna be at, honestly. Because the games that we like, the games that we love, the single player experience, the younger generation, the generation that's in high school, that's in middle school, they don't really care about that. You know, a friend who played with us, Marvel Rivals. I talked to him. I got him into the Retroid Pocket, and I haven't played Ocarina of Time for the first time, and he loves it. He hasn't finished it because he's playing Marvel Rivals constantly, a live service game, and that's just like what that generation has grew up with. And he's in college, so he's somebody a little bit older. What do you guys think about that? Do you think in 10, maybe 15 years from now, we say goodbye to a brand new Mario game and Mario just doesn't exist because everybody wants
Mario will still
Roblox?
exist. Mario will
Yeah.
still exist
Yeah,
in one form or another.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Because
They're all gonna
I
still
could see
exist.
what happened is like all these like Nintendo will probably make their own version of a sandbox,
Mhm.
right? And like here's our IPs, and then they'll let people create servers and like make their own version of the games, but they'll have strict like terms of service and whatnot to kind of make sure things are somewhat controlled.
Yeah. But do you think you can grab people out of that? Like Roblox has been around for years. Fortnite has been around for years. And people really just like Call of Duty is another one that's been around for years. And when you really think about it, it's hard to grab people from those services already. Which is why live
Yeah.
services don't like they can't do anything. Because a new live service game comes out. Oh, that looks cool. Let me play it. Oh, well, it's not Fortnite. Oh, it's not Call of Duty. So I'm gonna go back. Marvel Rivals got lucky because people were hating Overwatch, and they wanted people who wanted something like Overwatch was able to go into Marvel Rivals because they were very similar. But like as of right now, Fortnite is still doing great. Call of Duty is still doing great. And then you have Roblox, which is just like a playground for whatever you want to do. That Fortnite is trying to tap into that market because you can now have like the creative side of things where they create their own games as well. Brian, got any words?
No, I don't think so. I think like even though we never really introduced it as the future of gaming per se, I think just the historic shift that's occurring with Microsoft, I think kind of portends what the future may hold. Just kind of subtly there, but I think Nintendo is still going to exist in 10 or 15 years as it exists right now. I think there's going to be a Nintendo console 10 or 15 years from now. I think PlayStation will still have a box that'll be a PlayStation. Xbox, however, that I think is way more of a dubious situation. I don't think 10 to 15 years it's going to be, I don't think it's going to exist. I think it'll probably be like a PC based thing and it's going to be a cloud based thing and stuff. Like, I think that's drastically going to change. But I think just given how successful Microsoft Sony and Nintendo are with the status quo, I would think it's gonna keep rolling.
I feel a lot more optimistic.
50 years from now, I don't know, but 10 or 15, I think 10 or 15 is
I don't know.
pretty safe.
I don't know if the world will exist in 50
I don't know
years.
if Mario will still be around, but
Maybe.
Nintendo will still be around. I mean, Nintendo, like, they're the original gaming company. They made freaking cards.
Yeah.
I think Mario's gonna be around, or I think Nintendo and Mario can't exist without each other. I think they're both gonna exist for as long as the other do.
I mean, Nintendo's older than Mario, so
It is,
like,
but I mean,
Yeah.
they don't make playing cards anymore. But it's a different thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
James, do you think that Nintendo could exist without Mario now?
Mm, I mean,
Probably. Well, I mean, depending
I
on how
think it
well the
can.
movies and the theme parks
Yeah,
are
I was gonna
going,
say
probably
it
not.
can. I think it will still Mario will still exist in some way, shape, or form, right? It's going to be the mascot of Nintendo, regardless. If Nintendo stops
Forever.
making Mario games, it will still be the face of Nintendo. Like Mickey Mouse, there wasn't any new Mickey Mouse things for a while, and Mickey Mouse is still the face of Disney. So
Right.
I think when you
And
think
now he's in the
Mario,
free market.
yeah,
He's a public IP now.
he is.
Well,
But
isn't it just the Steamboat?
oh, it's
Isn't it
Steamboat
just
No,
Steamboat
Willie.
it's
Mickey?
full. It's full Mickey Mouse.
Oh, is it full Mickey Mouse?
'Cause-
Okay.
Yeah, it's full Mickey
I
Mouse
thought
because
looked
no,
it up.
no, it's
Steamboat
because
Willie.
it's because Disney found because they didn't renew it, right? Because there's like this law, whatever, where they can renew the license or the whatever for it and keep pushing it out. But instead of spending the money to lobby all of that, they actually make more money with all their other IPs than just Mickey Mouse alone. So they're like, let's just not renew it.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
I just looked
let
it up. It is
lapse.
Steamboat Willie. Just FYI, the later ones
Okay.
are not.
Because there's like all these other Mickey Mouse stuff that's out, not
Is it?
just Steamboat Willie. Like I've seen like freaking horror like Mickey Mouse stuff going around.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
I thought
Steamboat
that was
Willie.
based on Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, that's based on Steamboat
Oh,
Willie.
I mean, it just looks like Mickey Mouse.
Well, because
he
Steamboat Willie
kind
is
of
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse and
Steamboat
Pete.
Willie, it was
Just
the
black and white.
OG of Mickey Mouse. That's basically what we're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a separation between Steamboat Willie and Mickey Mouse, even though Mickey Mouse
Right.
is in Steamboat Willie. So they can't make they can make something based off of Steamboat Willie. They can't make something just based off of Mickey Mouse, right? So I think that's how that works.
Like Winnie the
But,
Pooh, like those Winnie the Pooh horror movies or whatever. That's public domain, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Pinocchio, I think too, if I remember correctly. I think it was Pinocchio, but it might be something else that I'm thinking of. Popeye also. I think Popeye recently was public domain too.
I looked it up. Is Popeye public domain? Yes, the original Popeye comic strip character went to the public domain this year. So,
Mhm.
James, your forever dream of making your own Popeye manga cross with Goku
Ooh,
or something,
that'd be
it's
amazing,
right there for the
actually.
taking.
A Popeye manga and an anime of Popeye. He would be the perfect. Actually, he would be an amazing anime character.
Eating spinach.
Yeah,
Bro,
his power up.
the best crossover will be Saitama versus Popeye. I would definitely pay money to see that.
That would be cool, man. All right, we're gonna have to start making that trend on social media so that some
Actually-
Japanese publisher can get it.
I just remember something. I think Death Battle already did something like that. I think.
Aw,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I actually remember it now. Yeah, they did a Death Battle like that. Was that popular video? Did it went viral? Probably not. It's because it's Death Battle, of course. But
most people don't
yeah,
know Popeye.
really,
Most people don't know
Come
about
on.
Popeye. No, I mean our
who?
generation does. The younger generation doesn't. Like I try. We're
Yeah,
watching
I would
the
be
old.
shocked if anybody under the age
yeah.
of 25 knows who Popeye is.
Yeah, my
but my
I was
sister
watching-
does. She's like 21.
Really?
But you say typically younger generation doesn't
Yeah.
know it. But,
I mean, you
okay.
probably mentioned it. That's why. But like, me and my wife, we were watching the old Popeye movie with Robin Williams as Popeye, and,
Oh,
and my
yeah.
kids are like, "What are you watching this dumb thing? Why do they talk like that?" I was like, "This is Popeye. Like, what do you mean dumb thing?"
And it
Yeah,
had
yeah,
the
they
lady
know
from
it.
The Shining as olive oil.
Yeah.
What was her
Well,
name?
those kids you're talking about were like 13 or 14. My little sister is
Yeah.
like 21. So
I'll be like,
don't-
I like Popeye. They have great chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
That's what people think of
Technically,
Popeyes,
Popeye
right?
is still at Universal.
That's true.
Is
It
it?
is. I saw it
Oh.
there with my own
Yeah.
eyes. Yep.
It's in
Oh.
the Toon Lagoon area.
Like
Okay.
All the comic
Betty
strip
Boop
area.
and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good IP to be an anime though.
yeah,
That'd be
the next thing you're gonna say is that the younger generation doesn't know who Richie Rich is. Like, come on, man.
Oh, they don't know who Richie Rich is.
Yeah, like I just think of that Macaulay Culkin movie. I didn't really know Rich Rich the cartoon or the comic strip.
Well, it's like
Damn.
the other day, I was saying Magilla Gorilla to my kids. They're like, who's that?
Oh,
I don't know who that
Like, you don't know who that is?
Hanna-Barbera.
Magilla
Yeah.
Gorilla? Let me
Yeah,
look
you
it
know
up
who
real
Magilla
quick.
Gorilla is?
Hold on.
He's
Magilla.
one of the comic strip stuff. He's part of the Hanna-Barbera
Yep.
family.
Oh, I've seen him
overalls,
before. I
right?
just didn't
Yeah,
know his
he has
name.
Spinners
overalls.
with a
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen him.
Yeah, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
What were we talking about? Like Johnny Quest.
Yep. I like that Johnny Quest show.
okay,
on Cartoon
come on.
Network.
Johnny Quest is like well known. Who doesn't know Johnny Quest?
No, it's not.
Problem is Johnny Quest is now overshadowed with Venture Brothers. because
So,
the
yeah,
Venture
'cause it's,
Brothers is based off of it's like
That's
Yeah.
fair.
inspired
Yes,
by
yeah,
Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
I love Venture Brothers. What a great show that
The
is.
the Johnny
Yeah, I agree.
Quest, the one where they're like older was cool. I forgot what that one was called.
Yeah, I think that's the Cartoon Network one where it was like there was like 3D like
Mhm.
VR stuff in it. I think. Yeah, that
Yeah.
show was great. It was called The New Adventures of Johnny Quest. I
Yes,
think
that one. That one was great. I
Mhm.
love that one.
that was a good show. Mhm.
What other ones?
I guess I gotta go outside more and speak with
Yeah, there's a
younger
lot of
kids and
people.
stuff.
There's that one. I remember I always used to watch and I hated it because they always played, but I would always watch
So
it.
you watched it?
Yeah, it's like they were racing. I want to say it's kind of
Speed
no, not
Racer?
Speed Racer. I love Speed Racer.
Wacky Racers
Is that what it's called? There's like
with
there's
all
the
the
meme of the
Hanna-Barbera
dog.
characters.
Yeah, there's a meme of the
Yeah, it's
dog that's
Wacky
always
Racers, I
laughing.
think.
That's what it was. I remember I hated
Oh
watching
yeah,
that.
that could have been that one. That could have been that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Wacky Racers.
Yeah, Wacky Racers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wacky.
Like that one,
Oh,
I
man.
I hated just because it always popped up. It was like late at night, and that show always showed up. I was like,
Oh.
oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Between
it's
that
got
and-
that.
Mhm.
All right, it's got that dog that kind of. It's almost kind of like the duck hunt dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Between that and what's it called? Rocky and Bullwinkle. That was another one I wasn't a big fan of.
Nickelodeon had a lot of those like old shows on it sometimes, and I was like, I'm older than I think two of you, but
Mhm.
like when I was a kid and like Nickelodeon, now I'm 38, and I remember like they'd have like old cartoons on sometimes, and I wasn't really into those, and that was one of those shows. It was like, oh, Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's like, no, give me Hey Arnold, give me
Yeah.
Doug, give me Rugrats, you know.
So the
Yeah.
thing is, back then when they like stopped airing those older Nickelodeon shows, they had something called Nicktoons where they just push all that stuff into that
Mhm.
channel. Don't know if it's still around till this day, but if it still is, then
I
think
think
it
it'll
is.
probably depress me.
huh?
It is, yeah. And then
Oh,
Cartoon
thank
Network
God,
kind of did
because-
the same thing. They pushed everything to
Mhm.
Boomerang,
Yeah,
which
they
was
did.
for
Yeah.
the older cartoons.
Like Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Probably.
Yeah, well, yeah, the new Cartoon
Let's just have a
Network
show
did some
talking
stuff.
about like old school cartoons and TV shows. That'd be
Yep.
fun one day.
That would be cool. Yeah, it's funny. One of those things. I'm gonna take this back to gaming, but like, do you
There was a
ever
Wacky Races Game Boy Color game. Anyway,
do you ever get like just nostalgic? Like you're thinking, and then like you can hear something, and then you can take yourself back into that space of where you were at that time. Like the other day, it was just something stupid. I was going through something, and then somebody had a picture of the PS Portal, but with the PS1 like anniversary edition, the PlayStation anniversary edition that had the PS1 style. And just in my head, I just got like transported back to whatever year, like 1997 or whatever. And I was just thinking of just older games that weren't even that great, but that I was playing on the PS1. I was like, man, like I'm just nostalgic for these things. And it just makes me want to go ahead and put it on my emulator. I think one of them was, what was it called? MDK was one of them. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. It,
yeah, that was the game with like the dog and like a mad scientist and
Yep.
like
Mm.
a yeah.
Yep. So
That was a very
there's
British game. I remember.
that was one of them that I played. I don't know, but there's some other stuff where
That's a deep cut.
yeah, it's like I don't know. It just shows you're getting old. Like I'm getting those like midlife crises. Like man, like gaming's not the same. I'm playing Death Stranding, and I'm like, I miss Metal Gear Solid 1. Or you play Expedition 33, you're like, wow, I miss when games were like Final Fantasy 7. I play Sea of Stars. I was just like, man, I miss Super Nintendo era games. Super Mario RPG, I was like that the whole time. In my head, I was like, I want to build a box where I'm playing. We talked about it like a couple podcasts ago, where I used to play my games on that single TV in the corner kitchen. It's like I want to build that
Yep.
so I can just
A
go
little
back
nook.
to my little place there. But
I
yeah,
feel like majority of that nostalgia is still there, but that's with mostly with in indie studios for the most part, So at this point, maybe there's going to be like an even bigger shift, like where maybe I can't say that because I don't know with younger generations what they're playing these days, of course. But hopefully there could be like a bigger shift of consumer just mainly just moving on from AAA to like mainly indie games for the rest of their catalogs and stuff. I mean, And like, there's a lot of indie games hitting
Yeah.
like hitting the trends and stuff. Like, there's this like new game that came out called Peak and stuff. It's like a co-op game where you climb like mountains and stuff. And it's a simple concept, but they made the game really, really fun and stuff. So, and the game before that, of course, Expedition 33, we can definitely count that. And in the game before that, we had there's Lethal Company, and then there's a game after Lethal Company. I forgot what it was called.
The one where you're like a YouTuber.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That one or no?
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, there was that one. I forgot what that game was called, but there was that one. So, indie studios are definitely getting their shine and stuff, and I hope from that point in time, maybe a lot of people are realizing that, hey, maybe it's time to like actually look at other indie games that are well hidden under other games and stuff, and try those games out and see how well they do. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's also like game design philosophy has changed. Going back to the original topic, where the future of gaming is. It could be me that I'm not sure exactly what where gaming is going to be. Like Nintendo, of course, I feel like they'll continue to make great games. They'll make the games that I like. PlayStation, they seem to be going to just like open world only games, and I think I'm like tired of open world games. Like, give me The Last of Us's, right? Like I'm okay with an experience where it's a linear experience. I don't mind that as long as you make it fun. And it doesn't have to be linear or open world. It could be somewhere in between where you have these areas, you can go around, but it's not too giant. And that's a worry I have, is where people don't, or game developers maybe are just trying to be too ambitious, but they miss the point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like ambitious for ambitious sake.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nintendo, I feel they did Breath of the Wild, but I think they did it for a reason. And while a lot of people will argue that they killed dungeons because of Breath of the Wild, which is true. Like that was something that I feel like was definitely missed from Breath of the Wild. I missed the dungeons. Tears of the Kingdom, they tried to fix it, and they kind of did, but not to an extent. But the exploration was definitely a lot better, being able to just shoot up in the sky and then just like kind of fly anywhere. And they had a lot of things going for it. I thought that was kind of cool. But like they didn't really make it open world just to be open world. Tears of the Kingdom, same thing. They didn't just add thing like the sky and the underground just to add it. They had gameplay mechanics around it. Donkey Kong Bonanza, they could have said, hey, this is just an open world Donkey Kong game. And while technically it is, but it's not really. It's more of an open area game, more similar to Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury,
or World Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey. Yeah, especially Mario Odyssey, since we do know it's been confirmed that it's the same team now. And I think that's the way you should develop games, not just, all right, we have this giant open world, here it is. God of War Ragnarok stood very linear. So did God of War 2018 reboot or 2017, whatever it was. And I like that type of experience. I just feel like everything doesn't have to be an open world game. We have too many open world games.
On the topic of nostalgia that you were saying, that's definitely a very big topic that could be probably its own podcast by itself. But it's like, when you think back to those times when you were playing on that PlayStation 1 controller, and there's a lot of things that as an adult, things are better. As an adult, you have more freedom. You can drive wherever you want. You get gratification from having a partner, children, not having those things, having independence in general, being able to drive, being able to go out, not having somebody to answer to. Like there's a lot of benefits to adulthood, but I think that we all kind of secretly pine for the time when life was a lot more simpler, when this summer none of us would be working. In the summer when we were kids, we would literally just be like, at least for me, I would be in my house playing my Nintendo 64, playing Ocarina of Time or something like that, or on the PlayStation playing Final Fantasy 7, playing Final Fantasy 8 in 1999 and getting it for the first time, going with my grandpa to Toys R Us to get the strategy guide the day it came out, and like going back to his house and playing it. There's a lot of really special memories that come around, or that come from those early gaming memories, and they are firmly planted in us as adults, because a lot of the stuff that happens to us as children, it influences who we turn out to be, for better or for worse. And so, I agree that there are some aspects of gaming that exist now that I really wish would kind of return back to the roots of what made it special. And I think Nintendo is the closest one to do that, because they're gameplay first above all else,
And
for the
Team
most part.
Asobi with Astrobot as well.
Oh yeah, and that's a great example too. Like, that's gameplay first, and it all
Who
revolves
inspired
around that.
Astrobot?
Nintendo,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Much to they even said that at the Game Awards. But so I think that it's not entirely fair to throw the baby out with the bathwater when you say that, the experiences, that there are experiences now that if I could show myself when I was 11 years old that exist now, he'd probably pass out 35,000 times from how incredible there's like, if I could show Death Stranding 2 and the giant open world that you get to explore. Like, when I was a kid at 10 years old and you gave me that game, I probably just would have spent like a year just walking around doing nothing, because that would have been just so amazing to me. Like, think
That's
of like
true.
Ocarina of Time and how much you spent just like walking around exploring stuff, and how enthralling that was to you, and then and add Death Stranding to it. Like that, it was like almost like overwhelming, like showing like a 1400s peasant a car or something, So yeah, I agree that I do wish that those sensibilities would come back and whatnot. I think there's places for both, but yeah, I'm definitely with you with the nostalgia. That's very, very important to me, and almost kind of sad, because you think back to those times and now they're gone, and that's kind of like part of the definition of the word nostalgia. I think it's little death. I think that's like the Greek translation of it, because every time like you think back to those times, it's like a little death in your mind or whatever. But yeah, let's get real dark to end
That's
the
that's definitely dark.
Like it's so weird to me too, because like ever since I was like 25, I have these kids keep calling me what's the term, Unk. They keep calling me Unk now. Unk, which shorthand for uncle, of course. But I'm like, what do you mean, Unk, bro?
I should have copyright that term, because my son, when he was little, Shu, right? Shu's real name, Shuzaku, who's in Discord. Well, he changed his name to like something else now. But like my son would call him, his name is Michael. So like my son would call him Unc Mike. So he couldn't say like Uncle Michael or anything. So he'll say Unc Mike all the time.
Just Unc? Jesus
he'll call him Unc
Christ.
Mike. And this was my son being like 1 year old. So back in like 2011, before the term was even a thing.
Wait, how old was he?
He was 1 year old in 2011. No.
Oh, actually,
you talking about Shu?
That's fair. All right.
No, Shu was older, but I'm saying like this was before that was a term. Yeah, this was before it was a term. So it's like, that was like his term. That's what he would say, like Unc Mike. And now everybody's saying
that's
Unc.
fair.
I want to correct something real quick. Little Death is not nostalgia. Little Death is something else. I just looked it up. I heard that somewhere else. Little Death is something else. Nostalgia is actually comes from the Greek word nostos, which means return home, and algos, which means pain. So it's not little death, it's pain of returning home. So I was close, but not, I just want to clarify that.
All right.
Anyway.
I mean, still painful.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, just a bit of a just for me spitting, like I always think back to like when I was like a kid playing. I mean, I was a really big Sonic head back then. So I like when I used to play a good amount of the Genesis and other things, bro. When I used to hit up like all the mom and pop shops for the used older retro consoles, I would beg my mom to like buy some of these, because back then collecting retro consoles were so much easier to do and stuff. But man, it's just
when Sonic console was like your like how do I put this? Like for me, I'm 38, and so like Sonic was a big deal for me, like with the Genesis. For you, was it Dreamcast? Like Sonic Adventure? Was that like the big game for you?
It was Dreamcast. I never owned the consoles, mainly because I mean, like my family growing up, we never had the means to get them, of course. But I was extremely lucky to play on the Dreamcast, because I had a babysitter where my mother usually drove to, where she had like a treasure trove of like classics. She had the Genesis, she had the Dreamcast, and anything you can think of, she probably had it. And, and like when you look at her, you look at her like she doesn't look like the type of person that gets everything, but she did anyway. So I'm like, I was just in there playing whatever I can play and stuff. So, and that's how I was introduced to Sonic for the first time. And from there, that's when I discovered these Sonic Underground reruns, because I'm pretty sure when Underground was running, I wasn't alive then. But when I discovered the reruns, like I forget what channel where they were doing the reruns on, but I was watching those. I was like, that's so cool. And then
was in the 90s, like 92, I think.
Yeah,
I just know the series that was like the kids one where he was eating chili dogs, and then the one with like Sally where like he has to like it's like really dark and stuff.
Yeah,
both those shows were good in their own ways.
I hated the chili dogs one, even though I used to watch it a lot.
The chili dog one, it was funny. It was cute.
Yeah, but the one with Sally was my favorite. I always loved it. It's like, oh man, the grandpa turned into Metal Sonic.
Sonic.
Yeah.
You know what's even more funny too is that like when my dad was watching the Sonic Underground thing with me, he was trying to listen to Sonic's voice and realize that was Julia White. Yeah, Julia White. And then that's when my dad was trying to put me on Family Matters, and when I was hearing what Urkel was saying, I was like, holy crap, there are two Sonics and stuff.
Sonic Underground was 99.
99? So, I was alive around that time. Fair.
I thought it was like early 90s, but yeah, it's 99.
Okay.
Early 90s was the adult Sonic show with Sally and everything. That was like probably 93, 94, I'd assume.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just I want to relive those times specifically. It's because it was just me discovering those things for the very first time. Me revisiting is not going to be the same, but I still enjoy revisiting old titles and stuff. Like I said, good examples when I revisit Spider-Man 64. I guess I still call it Spider-Man 64 because it was unique. And when you get it on the N64, it was actually a red cartridge matching Spider-Man's colors for the most part. Yep. Yeah, so that's why I call it Spider-Man 64. But when I revisited that same game via emulated for the Dreamcast side of things, because what I didn't know at that time is that the Dreamcast version was the best version because they include all the audio, had the actual cutscenes and everything. Better and graphics. When I replayed that, I was like, this is awesome. This is amazing. I love it. And this is me coming back to it and stuff. And I still feel like it's still a good game still,
It is.
Yeah, but it's just, it's hard. I need a time machine to like send myself back to when I was a kid to rediscover these things again, to get that same feeling, if that makes sense.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
So Sonic the Hedgehog is the one with Sally. The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is the chili dog one.
Chili dog one.
Yeah. So that
and they came out dog one.
Yeah, and they came out the same year, 93. Both of them.
I said 93. Yeah. Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
I thought you said 99. Who said 99?
No, I said 99 for Underground. That's when Underground came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. They literally both came out in September 6th, 1993, and then September 18th, 1993 was the one with Sally. So they were literally like around the same month. That's kind of crazy. They did both at the same time.
Sonic, he can really move.
Yeah.
Sonic, he's got an attitude.
I actually remember that. Oh my god.
He's the fastest thing alive.
Everything's just so simple, man. I'm like, damn.
It was.
Better times. No social media, so
yes,
you didn't have to worry about. Yeah. I truly think that social media has killed society, but that is a topic for a different
great
podcast.
way to end the show.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate everybody for joining. As always, don't forget that like and subscribe button. Follow over on Twitch. We may or may not have a stream tomorrow because I forgot that if we do tomorrow, Bryant is going to be playing Mario 64. Yesterday I misspoke and said we're going to do Mario Kart World. I completely forgot. No, we're all going against Bryant to see if we can keep up with him at least in a Super Mario 64 run. But it's a 50-50 if we are or we're not. I do have something planned with the family for 4th of July, but if it rains here, because in Florida where there's a tropical storm forming around us, so we're supposed to get a lot of rain. If it rains, then that becomes canceled. So then I won't do anything. We'll do the stream. So just keep an eye out on notifications to see that the stream has started. And if we do, we're going to be doing that. So anyways, appreciate you for joining. Ash, where can I catch you at?
You can catch me on Astro Short on YouTube, or you can catch me here from the random encounter.
What about you, Fan?
You can catch me at Phaneckswhy at all the socials.
Real quick, Fan, is there nothing in the back of your chair, or is it just a different color?
So the back of my chair is mesh.
Oh, okay,
Oh yeah, you're
gotcha.
right. I just
Okay.
noticed
Yeah,
that. I was like, that's a really weird ergonomic
Yeah,
thing
me
going
too. I was
on
thinking, I was
there.
like, wait a minute, like, is it just
yeah, it's
open?
mesh. So since it's mesh, the green, yeah.
Goes through it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, fair. Oh, that makes sense. That's funny. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, what about you, Brian? Where can I catch you at?
Red so deep on blue sky.
And as always, you can catch me here. My video should be up tomorrow. I'm ending this and going straight to finishing the last few edits that I need, and my video should be up tomorrow morning. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I will probably be playing around from here on out to see what days I should upload, because I have to find a good balance. I've said balance a lot of times this podcast, but I have to find a good balance in between work, life, and editing, because I don't want to burn myself out. Like, doing the videos, especially with the way my schedule is today, I tend to burn myself out. And it's like, man, like, I'm tired. I just want to lay down and play something and relax. So I got to figure out. I've had the video recorded, done, and I started editing. And then yesterday I edited it some more. And then today I finished the editing. I think that might be the process. So I might start uploading my videos on Friday, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thank you, Fan. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Brian. We'll catch you guys next time.